Studios.
That's right.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR presented by Pluckers. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
And the brain.
And the brain got a poop.
All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Oh, by the way, it's a hump day. We'll get the vibe, brain. Don't worry about it. Little lag.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
All right, it's a hump day.
It's hump day.
I'd like to say hi to my son, Drew.
Hump day.
Daddy shout out because I can.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
For everyone who hates hump,
It's hump day.
I got bad news for you.
Hump day.
It's never going away.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
Because now my child is obsessed with it.
It's hump day.
Right now, 6-year-old Drew Moscona is standing at the television.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
Watching Daddy on CST.
It's hump day.
Waiting for hump day. So,
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
it ain't going nowhere.
It's hump day.
It's here to stay
Hump day.
for all eternity.
Hump day.
To annoy those who hate being annoyed,
Hump day.
but to make the kids happy,
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
who love to hear the camel and the old lady,
It's hump day.
until my son decides he doesn't care about it anymore.
Hump
And
day.
at that point, maybe we'll switch.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
Russ Mitchell in hour 3.
It's hump day.
Eddie Nunez, New Mexico State Athletic Director Eddie Nunez, next hour.
Hump day.
Ross Jackson locked on Saints in 15 minutes.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
My goodness, a good show. And we are
hump
glad
day.
that you are hanging out with us here on a hump day. All right, let's get into it. By far, the most extensive interview that Myles Brennan has done since he has been on LSU's campus published today. Cody Worsham, of course, is a digital media manager over within LSU Athletics, did about a 45-minute podcast interview with the LSU starting quarterback, Myles Brennan. Brennan's done some interviews, but not many, and certainly none at this length or depth, which is why it's really, really interesting, because you have someone who, as we have discussed, is among the most interesting stories in all of college football. How does Myles Brennan replace the guy who just had the single greatest season for a quarterback in the history of college football? That's not hyperbole. 60 touchdown passes, 5,000 yards, won the Heisman by a record landslide margin. And oh, by the way, here you go, kid. You get to be the guy who replaces the guy. And they had a really detailed, in-depth conversation about all of that. So, of course, that's going to get a lot of attention. We'll go through some of what I thought were the highlights of it, but I could not recommend highly enough that if you are interested in LSU football, which I'm assuming many of you are by the nature of the fact that you're listening to this, that you go, however you listen to podcasts, go search Hey Fightin' Podcast and listen to Cody's interview with Myles Brennan. One of the odd things, they actually started with a soundbite from an interview with Myles and Emily Dixon. And Myles Brennan talked about how during quarantine he was at home and he didn't have weights, so he took a chainsaw, he cut down trees on their property and used them to do bench press and squats. There's a video from Garland Gillen on Twitter. I don't know how he got the video, but he tweeted the video, and this is it. It's Myles Brennan with a giant log doing bench press, like laying on some concrete slab with a giant log doing bench press. He was not lying, and you could tell by how red his shoulders are that he obviously had that log on his shoulder doing squats. I digress. So Myles Brennan has been finding ways, like many have, to stay in shape. And the thing that was the biggest takeaways from this interview for me is that Myles Brennan has completely committed every facet of himself to being great. From his physical size, putting on pounds, which you'll hear, his mental acuity, going from Matt Canada to Steve Ensminger to Joe Brady. And I know Ensminger was there, but he talked about the transition in the offense over 3 years to finally having some stability on the offensive side, to losing out the job when he thought he was going to be the starter, to sitting behind Burrow and learning, to how he's managed his time this offseason with his receivers. He has prepared every aspect of his game, even using one of the things they talked about in this interview is, the virtual room, that the walkthrough room that LSU built in football ops for the defense. Myles Brennan wanted to use it for his good. So he had Ed Ogeron call in the guy who's in charge of that room from the company that installed it and calibrated it for offense. So Brennan could sit in there and go through his progressions against the defense. It was a very enlightening interview, which proves that Brennan is all in. He understands it's his time. He is all in to be the guy. Now, will that result to results on the field? I don't know. We'll see September 5th when they play UTSA in Tiger Stadium or whenever they kick off the season. But we're going to see ultimately. But listening to this, it's so impressive to think I'm not sure literally there's anything else that he could do or could have done to get himself to the point where he's ready to be LSU's starting quarterback. So a couple of things from Myles Brennan. First and foremost, everyone asks about his weight. That's where Cody started. And apparently this is going to be really a non-starter anymore because Myles Brennan has been between 218 and 220 now, even throughout quarantine. So he's bulked up. He said he got on campus at 175. So he's gained 40 pounds. I mean, it's 35 pounds-ish, 35, 40 pounds. That's an incredible amount of weight to gain, but he's done it over these last 3 years. And this is just a for instance of what Myles Brennan put himself through to be able to gain this weight.
It was very difficult from then to now. My body, I guess, is just not made to have a wide frame, you know, and I ate more food than anybody can imagine. And the strength staff was on me every single day since I got here. And I was in here at 6 o'clock eating in front of the strength coaches, drinking, protein shakes in front of them at 6 o'clock before class. And then, it's funny. There was one time where I came in and I ate it was 4 breakfast sandwiches and drank 4 core powers. And I'm trying to get to class. And
dude, that's 2,500 calories right there.
I'm man, I don't feel good. So I ran to the bathroom. I threw it all up. So I didn't tell anybody because I would have to restart.
But you can see what he's put himself through. 6 a.m. eating in front of the strength staff just so he could gain the necessary weight, and he's done it. He also talks about his journey from LSU, where he graduated high school on May 30th. June 1st, he was at LSU moving into West Campus Apartments. He graduated high school, had 1 day, and then was on campus learning Matt Canada's system, which is something he had never done before. But then he goes into 2018 where it's supposed to be his job, but in comes Joe Burrow. And he talked very candidly about how awkward this was with Burrow initially.
I mean, not many words were spoken. I mean, we both knew what was on the line. And it is very difficult because you're in the same room. You're expected to be the leader of this team, and you're wanting to encourage not only the teammates in your own room, but, all the other players around you. But it's just very hard to, cheer for the person that you're competing against after they just threw a touchdown or they just made a good play, something that, that the coaches are going to recognize. It's just hard to sit back there and be like, oh, yeah, good job, when you're sitting there, trying to compete for the same job. But once all the pieces fell into place, I just told myself, look, just use this to get better, okay, they named Joe the starter, work, harder than anybody on this team every day, and, just make sure that I'm ready at any point in time that I would have needed to go in.
So he sits behind Burrow, despite that disappointment. But they become ultimately very close. And now he's the guy who has the task of replacing the guy. And he talked about what it's been like for him knowing he's got to replace Joe.
When I get asked those questions, I try and tell myself, like he's gone, and he's no longer here, and he's no longer going to be playing for LSU, and like it's time for me to step into that role. And I can talk about what he did, but talking about last year's team and what we did last year is not going to, and talking about Joe is not going to help us in the future.
Yeah.
It's not going to do any good for us reflecting what we did last year. But yeah, I mean, it is time to. Joe's going to get all the credit that he deserves, in interviews and things like that. But at the same time, it's my time, and I fully understand that. And, I'm going to do, everything in my power to make, take full advantage of that.
It's my time, and I'm going to do everything in my power to take full advantage. And that's kind of coming through, isn't it? All the things that Brennan's done, from getting his body in shape to watching Joe Burrow to even, like, one of the things he talked about was – working on his touch passes. Like, that's been his focus. He talked about how Jack Marucci, I want 6, Brain, how Jack Marucci would come out to practice with a radar gun and measure Brennan's, the MPH on his throws, and then Brennan's relative completion percentage. And basically explain to him, look, you don't have to pound a kid, running back in the chest with the ball when it's an 8-yard route. Work on that touch with the ball. And Brennan said, look, physically, like, this has been, as far as on the field, the biggest thing he's worked on this offseason.
This whole offseason, I really have worked on touch, and it's a different touch rather than like aiming the ball and like trying to just float it there rather than just like, just taking some off and still finishing the throw. And so I know they have seen a difference receiver-wise because, I mean, we talk about it after, each practice, and they'll joke with me about I throw the ball too hard. But, I really have – that really has been a main focus point of what I've been trying to get better on.
Myles Brennan again on Hey Fightin' Podcast with Cody Worsham, a really, really great in-depth interview, the most in-depth interview I think anybody's done. It has to be since Brennan's been on campus. But one more, and Brennan was asked, why, amid losing the job to Burrow in an era when nobody waits, why did he wait?
I came here for a reason, and I stay true to my word, and I understand why people do transfer, and I mean I'm not against it any means because these players have to do what's best for them and their families. But I knew being here would be best for me, especially with this coaching staff and the surrounding staff that's here at LSU. And, I mean, we brought in Joe, and, if I would have left, I would have lost these 2 years of learning behind, one of the greatest football, quarterback in college football. And the things that I just took away from him alone have made me such a better player, much less, just being around this team and playing the games that we've played in has just helped me a lot.
I'm not here to anoint Myles Brennan. I'm not here to tell you that I think he's going to win a Heisman or he's going to throw for 5,000 yards or any of those things or lead LSU to a championship. The thing that I will say is it is abundantly clear that 21-year-old Myles Brennan, in every way, physically, mentally, emotionally, everything, is more ready for this moment than he was when he showed up on campus in 2017. And when you look at all of the talent surrounding him, that becomes a very exciting proposition for the LSU Tigers in 2020 and potentially 2021. Our Adaptive Further Review, we're brought to you by Pluckers, Nicholson, and Bluebonnet. Let me knock out a quick break from purple and gold to black and gold. Welcome on our friend Ross Jackson from the Locked on Saints podcast and the editor at Canal Street Chronicles. We know more now about what the NFL offseason is going to look like. No preseason games, smaller roster. What does that mean for the Saints as they figure out their roster heading into Week 1 against Tampa? We'll talk about it with Ross next on AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Premier South Roofing and PremierSouthLA.com. Baton Rouge, Lafayette, North Shore, and online at PremierSouthLA.com. You want a better experience with a contractor? You want Premier South Roofing. They're A-plus rated with the Better Business Bureau, Super Service Award from Angie's List, Torch Award for Ethics in Business. Like, I say those things every day, so much so that it just rolls off the tongue. And for many of you, it may not really register, but anyone who has ever had an awful experience with a contractor, someone who came to your house, told you they were going to build you something or fix something, said it a certain way when they were done, it wasn't what they said it was going to be, and then you couldn't get them back to fix it. Like, that's a horror story with contractors that so many people have heard, but when you call Premier South Roofing, you will never have that experience. Go read their reviews. Look at all the awards they've won for customer service. Look at all the business they win by the number of signs and trucks and trailers you see all over this town. It's Premier South Roofing. Baton Rouge, Lafayette, North Shore. PremierSouthLA.com.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Toyota, we don't just sell cars, we buy them too. Bring your car in so we can see it, and within minutes you can turn your car into cash or trade it in towards your next vehicle. It's a fast and easy process. We buy your car at Corval Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
Divorce is hard. Divorce is messy. Divorce is exhausting. The law offices of O.C. Brown walked me through my divorce and helped me find the right solution for me, my kids, my finances, and my property.
Call the law offices of O.C. Brown, your law firm for a lifetime.
Citizens Bank is proud to bring you the Fan of the Week. But during these times with no fans, Citizens Bank is switching its support to the Banking on BR campaign to raise money for the Baton Rouge Food Bank. You can help out by visiting brfoodbank.org or bankingonbr.com.
I'm Jay Cody. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jdacody.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
0% for 72 months on all new 2020 F-150s. Visit Bayou Ford for a new 2020 Ford F-150 with 0% for 72 months. And all new blend.
After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Presented by Plucker's Wing Bar. Open till midnight or later every night of the week, where every Monday is all-you-can-eat wings. Plucker's Wing Bar. If you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
Inching closer to the start of Saints training camp, it looks like there will be no preseason games and a shortened roster. So what does that mean for the Saints as they move toward their final roster and week 1 against Tampa? Ross Jackson's our guest. He's the host of the Locked On Saints podcast and the editor at Canal Street Chronicles. Ross, appreciate the time, man. How are you?
Oh, absolutely, Matt. Looking forward to it, man. Thank you very much for having me. Things are going well here, staying in, staying safe, playing my part, and getting football back. You know what I'm saying? I hope everything's going well for you.
Yeah, man. I think everybody's just looking forward to some degree of normalcy, and football kind of feels like that. So let's talk about, though, the news that came from the NFL and the PA this week, that there will be no preseason games. The obvious group that seems to affect the most would be the undrafted free agents. But when you narrow the scope to the New Orleans Saints roster, where do you look at that as having the biggest impact?
Yeah, so I think the biggest negative impact, as you mentioned, comes from undrafted free agents in particular. And it's not necessarily just from undrafted free agents that end up not making that cut to the new roster limit, but the guys that don't get an opportunity to go out there and put up any preseason film for any of the other 31 teams that might be watching them or might be looking to fill roster spots because of anything going on during the preseason. If you think back, the Saints Taysom Hill has taken Saints fans and the New Orleans Saints, fan base, the Houdat Nation, everybody kind of by storm over these past few years because of all the things that he's been able to do. But remember that, the Saints didn't grab him as an undrafted free agent right off the bat. They ended up signing him after he put together some preseason film that the coaching staff liked during his time with Green Bay. You saw the same thing during the preseason. You could see that with veterans as well. Teddy Bridgewater went out there a couple of years ago and had a great preseason with the Jets. Saints ended up making a trade for him. So you can see that there's options and some palpability for some of those guys that go out there and perform well during the preseason, not just with their own clubs, but also with those additional clubs. And that's going to be a pretty big sort of missed step for undrafted free agents during this already pretty unique, obviously, offseason as it is. But I think that's probably your biggest effect in terms of the negative. It does create some potential positives for other players, depending upon what their status is with the team. You're looking at guys that are a little bit more established as vets that may have greater roster chances or even greater roster guarantees to build some more chemistry with their individual teammates, with their sort of individual back and forth time. Drew Brees, very much a timing quarterback, and that offense is very predicated on time. You get a new guy like Emmanuel Sanders in the mix here. He's not going anywhere based on what his performance would have been in the preseason, but now he gets a little bit of extra time to really focus in and build that communication and chemistry with Drew Brees after everything that they've missed so far with no OTAs, no mini camps, no all of those OTA sort of off-season activities they haven't been able to take advantage of. Gives them a little bit of a chance to do that here. And you have a couple of other vets that might benefit from this as well, like Ty Montgomery, whose competition maybe slips a little bit because you look at a guy like Tony Jones Jr., the undrafted free agent running back out of Notre Dame, who may not even make the roster cut going into camp. That lessens competition, gives him more time to build and sort of find what it was that he mentioned in his introductory press conference to the team, where it is that he fits within the offense with all of the different types of things that he can do. So there's a little bit of a different perspective depending upon where you are within this team about how it might affect not having a preseason.
So I know you wrote a piece at Canal Street Chronicles about Emmanuel Sanders and what his role could be as number 2. But one of the big questions that a lot of Saints fans have had, and many thought that they would address in the draft, would be a third wide receiver. Ty Montgomery could be that guy. I don't know that. I mean, it always seems like they're going to find a guy. Breeze always finds a guy to throw the ball to. But was there an undrafted guy who you were maybe really eager to see pop or potentially pop here in preseason games or in practice?
Yeah, for an undrafted guy coming in this year, particularly Marquez Callaway coming out of Tennessee, he racked up over 20 yards per catch at one point in his time coming out of Tennessee, and was just a big-time deep threat. He also has a little bit of return ability, some value in special teams as well, which is what you look for in those undrafted free agents. Sometimes it's, the big catches that they might be able to make during preseason. Other times it's about making a good special teams play, and he has a little bit of both of those going for him. And I think he'll still be able to show that in camp and be able to still hopefully have an opportunity where he to go through to camp. He's one of the guys that has a larger guarantee in terms of what's, when we talk about undrafted free agent contracts, we're always talking about at this point agreed to terms, not officially signed. So whether or not that plays into what the Saints are looking at remains to be seen. But if he got an opportunity, he would be somebody that I was really looking forward to in this new class of undrafted free agents that could potentially pop as another wide receiver option.
Ross Jackson's with us. He's on Twitter at Ross Jackson Nola, Locked on Saints podcast every day, talking Saints football. However you listen to your podcast, also Canal Street Chronicles editor. What about the 80-man roster? What, if any, impact do you think that has on the Saints?
Yeah, I think the biggest impact there also, you look back at undrafted free agents. Again, most of these undrafted free agents, actually all of these undrafted free agents, haven't officially signed contracts yet. They're all verbal agreements. They're all agreed to terms type situations. And so those are the first contracts that I think you're going to see, for lack of a better word, a purge of, particularly the undrafted free agents that haven't agreed to large guaranteed portions of money. Guys like Joe Bocci, who's at nearly $160,000 guaranteed. Calvin Throckmorton, who's at $110,000. They may have a little bit more. That signifies that they may have a little bit more of a chance of holding and sticking around. But I think that it's those guys in particular that are toward the bottom of that 13-player list in terms of guarantees that you may see end up getting the axe before they really even get an opportunity to jump into training camp, which is an unfortunate scenario. But again, it's a very unique offseason that just it necessitates a different type of approach, and unfortunately it's not all positive. But those are the ones that I really look at. There's a couple of other guys that maybe aren't undrafted free agents that I could see potentially not necessarily making the roster. You look at a Cole Wick, who's just in a big time already exciting tight end room. That is a tight end position that the Saints usually, they started last year with only 2 tight ends on the roster, but we've seen them go with 3. There's also Jason Vanderlaan in there as well, so that pushes Cole Wick a little bit back. You look at another more veteran guy like Chris Johnson, one of the safeties in a very busy safety room. So you could see that permeate beyond just the undrafted free agents in terms of where it could potentially have the effect to bring in 10 fewer players going into camp.
What would be, if you were to narrow the scope to maybe a couple of position battles where you think there are going to be roster spots down? Honestly, Ross, with a team like the Saints, when they've been as good as they are, you're going to camp probably knowing 48. Probably 48 roster. I'm not overstating it.
No, not at all.
So there's maybe a handful of roster spots up for grabs. Where are those from your estimation?
Yeah, I think that most of these, and this has just been the sort of situation for the Saints over the past few years. We're having conversations about running back 3 and tight end 4, and like we're talking about these guys, and that's actually a testament to the Saints fan base, of course, and the media coverage in that we know the roster is up and down from 1 to 90, but the Saints in particular, it really speaks towards, the way that they draft. It's why I don't get mad that they traded away all 3 of their day 3 draft picks to move up and grab a guy like Adam Troutman, because there simply weren't enough roster spots really to go around anyway to bring in a full 7-person class. So you look at a couple of places where you're going to see the most sort of effect from some of these camp battles. Wide receiver 3 could potentially be one that we've already started to reference here. Curtis Johnson, CJ, he really believes in Traquan Smith. He mentioned in one of his interviews with media that he believes that Traquan Smith is going to have a breakout year in 2020. Just want to see some more consistency out of him. He seems to show up when it matters for Drew Brees' records, which is always really great, but then there are other times where he kind of drops off a little bit. So you look at him, maybe Deontay Harris getting a little bit more involved in the offense. Could a veteran like Maurice Harris end up sneaking in and pushing for a spot? Emmanuel Butler, who was, a training camp darling from last year, can he rebuild his momentum into an active roster spot? So you're looking at battles within that wide receiver depth. I think it's not necessarily a battle, quote unquote, but the sort of configuration of the offensive line is going to be pretty big, especially with no preseason snaps and no opportunities to really get any full speed rhythm down with this offensive line. That's going to undergo 2 big changes potentially, because you already have Larry Warford out, so you're going to need a replacement at right guard, and then you're potentially going to utilize Eric McCoy, who was your center from last year, as a part of that replacement. So then you have to replace that center position, which could be this year's first-round pick in Cesar Ruiz. That's sort of a big thing to watch as well. The conversation between Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill, it's a little bit more for the future than it is a camp battle that has some precedence and has some immediate impact right now. But, you look at that, the one guy has 2,548 career regular season passes versus the other guy who's got 13. And a couple of those came on fake punts. So take that for what you will. I'm not really sold on the idea that Taysom Hill is a quarterback for the Saints. I think they'd like him in the role that he has. So maybe it's not necessarily a battle, but they'll certainly get an opportunity to see those guys during camp, but you're going to miss out a bit on seeing them in preseason. And then probably the next place over on the defensive side that stands out the most to me is going to be a couple different spots within the cornerback position. The slot cornerback, I think that goes to C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I think that he's earned that. But you still have P.J. Williams. You still have Patrick Robinson, who was originally signed to that. Patrick Robinson may end up fighting for a job more than just the spot. So we'll see what he is able to do. P.J. Williams has shown you a little bit more with his versatility, that he might be able to find another place to fit, in that we saw him play pretty well at safety last year after some injuries toward the end of the season. And then the boundary cornerback depth is the other big part of this conversation. You've got Marshawn Lattimore, you've got Janoris Jenkins, but who's the guy behind them? That's going to be a big one to watch between guys like Dietrich Nichols, who's coming in from the XFL, but also carries some NFL experience. You like a guy like Keith Washington out of West Virginia, who's got great size at 6'1", listed around 180 pounds. I think that's going to be a really interesting one to watch as well.
Do you like anybody there at the cornerback depth? Because I really find that's a fascinating one to see, because you've got your boundary corner set. Like, who else is going to win reps there?
Yeah, I get really excited about Keith Washington as an option because of his size. He's really fits the prototypical size for what the Saints like. at that cornerback position. They have another undrafted free agent, Tino Ellis, who came out of Maryland, who felt like a little bit more. He was connected to Corey Robinson, who came in as a defensive assistant coach. He's 5'6", doesn't really fit the mold of what the Saints look for in the secondary. They tend to like 5'10", 5'11", or beyond. And so Keith Washington really fits that. Very interested to see what Dietrich Nichols does. He fits the prototype at 5'10". He has some NFL experience. Justin Hardy is going to be a shoo-in, I think, for the roster because of his special teams prowess, but can he also show that he can be the top guy in the depth there? So I lean a little bit more to the guys with NFL experience, so I lean a little bit more to Dietrich Nichols and Justin Hardy, and for me, Justin Hardy has the edge there because of his familiarity specifically with the Saints system.
My guy's breaking down Tino Ellis. You better be listening to his podcast. It's Locked On Saints every weekday. Ross Jackson, however you're listening to your podcast, make sure you're listening to Locked On Saints. And, of course, Canal Street Chronicles as well. Hey, man, great to chat as always. I appreciate a couple of minutes, all right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, man. Anytime. Stay safe, stay well, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Look forward to it, man. Good stuff. That's Ross Jackson with us here on AFR, talking some Saints. The big news there, obviously, is it looks like no preseason games. The union's going to prove that. And then also reducing the camp roster from 90 to 80, which means a lot of guys are going to have to take reps, and a lot of guys that maybe you were hoping to see as undrafted free agents, not only for the Saints, but as Ross mentioned appropriately, other teams who might ultimately get cut and then be available for you. You got to trust evaluations from previous seasons or from college without it getting to see them in preseason. So it's going to put more emphasis on your front office and your player personnel departments, making sure you got all that in order. All right, it's After Further Review. Glad you're with us. By the way, Ross is on Twitter, at Ross Jackson Nola. At Ross Jackson Nola. Make sure y'all give him a follow. All right, it's After Further Review. We'll go around the SEC. Taylor Calandro with some Bourbon Dictionary in about 15 minutes. Eddie Nunez, 1 hour from right now, New Mexico State Athletic Director. If you haven't heard it, the governor of New Mexico today is requesting college sports delay the start of their season. So what does that mean for Eddie Nunez in a group of 5 athletic department? What do they do? We'll talk about that an hour from right now. Glad you're here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Love telling you about our friends over at Ichiban. As a matter of fact, I had honest-to-goodness true story. I have a dentist appointment tomorrow. Eva at Dr. Shannon's office runs the front office, and I had to call her today because I have to go next week. Neither here nor there. I have a meeting tomorrow. I have to postpone. Anyway, and she was like, I wanted to tell you, I went to Ichiban, and I ordered the Moscona roll. I'm like, well, thank you, Eva. That is so kind of you. But it is actually, along with the Ichiban roll, the best-selling roll at Ichiban. And it has only, I would say, roughly 3% to do with my name and 97% to do. Yeah, let's go 98%. Okay, 99.76% to do with the fact that it's an incredible accomplishment in culinary. It's an amazing culinary accomplishment. Better way to say it. It's the Moscona roll, and it's only at Ichiban. The most creative specialty rolls, the freshest fish, you know where to find them. Essen near Perkins or Airline Highway in Gonzales. Dine in, carry out. Just make tonight an Ichiban night.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hi, this is Chance Inman, President and Chief Operating Officer for Janney King Gulf Coast. Here are some ways to protect yourself and those around you from the coronavirus. Wash your hands often and thoroughly. Cover coughs and sneezes with your elbow. Disinfect high-touch surfaces regularly. Use non-contact methods for greeting others. And avoid touching your face. Following these steps, as well as social distancing, should help all of us stay healthy.
Janney King, the king of clean.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Master Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Master Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
104.5 ESPN invites you to take a short quiz for a chance to win a brand new EU1000 generator from our friends at Bozeman Distributors. Simply go to 1045ESPN.com now through August 16th and take the quiz to see how prepared you are for hurricane season. Everyone who takes the quiz is automatically entered to win the generator. Our winner will be chosen on Monday, August 17th. Get prepared for hurricane season from 104.5 ESPN and stay prepared with Bozeman Distributors.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thank.
After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Presented by Plucker's Wing Bar. Open till midnight or later every night of the week, where every Monday is all-you-can-eat wings. Plucker's Wing Bar. If you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
So the Green Bay Packers today announced, actually this wasn't an announcement. Let me restate that. This was Packers Vice President of Finance and Administration, Paul Baniel. He was given an interview to the Green Bay Press Gazette, and he told the reporter, quote, "I think we are safely north of what the break-even point is, just based on the current conversation of where the number of fans will be." He, of course, is talking about the financial break-even point based on what the number of fans will be at Lambeau Field this year. So understand the conversation that we have relative to the NBA and college football, how different it is. Even with limited fans in attendance, because the NFL's television contract is so massive, the vice president of finance for the Packers is saying, we're going to be past the break-even money. We'll be in line. We'll be in the black even with limited fans this year. The same obviously isn't true for college football, which is why you're seeing a lot of these conferences, these smaller leagues, postpone their season to a time when they think they might be able to have fans because they just can't afford to put their product on the field. It's going to be very different for the NFL. If anything, honestly, TV revenue might go up. Now, your contracts are what they are, but when you think about the cost of advertising increasing because of viewership increasing, if roughly 80% of your fans who normally attend games are now at home watching games, that increases viewership. And especially for a collective sports fan base that is so starved for content, whenever the NFL does kick off, be it in empty stadiums or full stadiums, you're going to have massive television numbers for the sport that already wins. So this is a fascinating test case here. So people who wonder about the NFL, yeah, they're going to push forward because they're going to exist already in the black, even with limited fans. So some of the things we already know, like the Jets and the Giants, Governor of New Jersey said no fans. So there will be no fans at MetLife Stadium, at least at the start of the season. The Rams announced 15,000 is where they'll cap attendance there at SoFi Stadium. And then today, the Atlanta Falcons announced that they announced this via Twitter and their website, currently planning to have between 10,000 and 20,000 fans at our games this season. Masks will be required for all fans inside the stadium. So for the Falcons, they're planning for 10 to 20,000 at games this year. So no change in attendance for the Falcons at games this year. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products, excellence in imaging solutions. The Mississippi State Bulldogs.
Shout out to Kylan Hill, who was honored with a key to the city in his hometown of Columbus, Mississippi on Tuesday. Kylan Hill, of course, the Mississippi State running back, tweeted earlier this month that he would not play if the state of Mississippi didn't change their flag. A week later, lawmakers voted to change the flag that now will not feature the symbol of the Confederacy. Mayor Robert Smith said Hill, quote, made a heroic stand in the face of adversity. Hill's only 22 years old, all SEC running back last year, who bypassed the NFL draft to return for his senior season.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
Jeremy Pruitt's added another staffer with Alabama ties to his staff. Pruitt has hired Kendall Moorhead as assistant strength and conditioning coach. Moorhead is a former Alabama and NFL defensive tackle. He'd been an assistant strength and conditioning coach with the Crimson Tide since 2010.
The Vanderbilt Commodores.
Vandy's added a game for 2021. According to a release from UConn, the Huskies, who will begin as independents in football next year, will travel to Nashville October 2nd, 2021. The odd thing is that FBS schedules currently has Vandy hosting Houston on that date, so that's obviously going to have to change. Vandy is 2-1 against UConn, winning at home in 2002, 2011, and losing at UConn in 2010.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
And junior guard Isaiah Joe did not participate in the Razorbacks' first allowed coach-supervised offseason practice this week, but he does remain on the Razorbacks roster. Joe is still weighing putting his name in the delayed NBA draft or returning to the Razorbacks for this upcoming season. Joe and all underclassmen have until August the 3rd whether or not they're going to remove their name from draft consideration and retain collegiate eligibility. There you have it. That is Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. Shout out to our guy Trey Beal and our friends at Gulf Coast Office Products. They're online at gcopnet.com, gcopnet.com for Gulf Coast Office Products. We appreciate them. As always, if you're a business owner and you need office equipment, you need Gulf Coast Office Products with offices in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, the North Shore, and Lafayette, all over South Louisiana. If you're a business owner and you need to run more efficiently, Gulf Coast Office Products, they're the ones to call. All right, that's further review. Taylor Calandro is going to join us here for It Is a Whiskey Wednesday. It's a little bourbon dictionary. You got questions about the brown water or anything booze related, as many of you hit the beach this summer season or the pool area, fire away. You can tweet me at Matt Moscona at 1045 ESPN. You can jump in the Bayou Fort Huddle on the 104.5 Baton Rouge app. And remember, we are on YouTube as well. You can watch us live, all of our shows live on YouTube. That's Off the Bench, Hanging with Hester and Hanny, and us here on AFR in the afternoon. Just go to 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge on YouTube. Subscribe, hit the bell. And we're there. We're live there, and you can chat with us in the chat function as well. All right, it's after further review. Glad you're hanging out with us here. A ton to get to over the course of the rest of the day, including as we start next hour, we'll delve into a little bit of what was said last night on the College Football Live special on ESPN. If you missed it, they kind of did essentially a state of college football special, and a lot of the major power brokers around college football participated, including Greg Sankey. So we sort of updated the self-imposed timeline that the SEC has put on itself for making a decision about this upcoming season. So we'll delve into that coming up next hour. And as I mentioned, Eddie Nunez is going to be with us as well. Eddie was an associate AD at LSU. He got the AD job at University of New Mexico, or at University of New Mexico. And they're in a situation where today the governor of the state of New Mexico has requested that they postpone the start of college athletics. So for an athletic director who's trying to move forward with the season that many athletic directors are trying to make happen, especially for the group of five who are in a very tenuous position, how does he do that in a state where the governor is saying, I want you to postpone? So we're going to talk about that conversation with Eddie Nunez, a guy who's been a good friend of ours for a long time and is, has his first AD job at New Mexico right now. But after further review, we'll knock out our final break here of hour number one, the Bourbon Dictionary with Taylor Calandro next.
AFR.
All right, today is the day you're going to do it. You've heard me talk about it. You've always said, I need to do that. But I'm in my car, but I'm at my desk, but no more. Insurance Network of Louisiana, today's the day we're going to do it. I want you to do this. I want you to pick up your phone right now, and I want you to call this number. In the 225, it's 293-0450. I don't live in Baton Rouge, doesn't matter. Louisiana, Texas, Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, they're licensed. Florida, they're licensed all over. So if you had a camp, home, your hunting camp, your condo on the beach, whatever it is, if you need insured, they can help you. Insurance Network of Louisiana, 293-0450, 293-0450, 293-0450. Call. They give them a little information. They will independently shop to get you better coverage for less money. Stop overpaying to be underinsured. Literally, the worst thing that they'll tell you is stick with the coverage you have right now. It's perfect. That's the worst thing that could happen, but at least you know. Right now's the moment. Insurance Network of Louisiana, 293-0450.
0% for 72 months on all new 2020 F-150s. Visit Bayou Ford for a new 2020 Ford F-150 with 0% for 72 months. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Call Mr. Electric today for electrical repairs, upgrades, and installations.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Sports wouldn't be the same without the die-hard fans. That's why we're highlighting the fans that do the most. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge brings you the Citizens Bank Fan of the Week. Check it out at 1045ESPN.com, the Citizens Bank Fan of the Week.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Presented by Plucker's Wing Bar. Open till midnight or later every night of the week, where every Monday is all-you-can-eat wings. Plucker's Wing Bar. If you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
They're the gang with the slang. This is Bourbon Dictionary with Matt Moscona and Taylor Calandro.
It's a Whiskey Wednesday, so this is catching fire, man. A lot of people tell me they love the segments. They love hearing and learning about it. I actually had a lady. I need to go find her email address. I had a lady who she messaged me on Facebook. Was like, is there a list where I can find all the things you talk about? I find it interesting, but sometimes I don't have to write it down. So I need to do that. Taylor Calandro's with us, Wine and Spirits Director over at Calandro's, 2 locations in Baton Rouge, Seagan and Perkins, and then just down the road from us, Government Street in Mid-City. How are you, dude?
Good, man. About to go out to Traction and watch my nephews, Grayson and Brandon, play some championship games tonight.
Well, I'm fired up for it, man. That's awesome news. Glad to see the kids getting out there and being able to run around and get some fresh air. Just make sure you wear your mask and don't sit next to anybody. You know what I mean? They'll get you for that.
Dude, they take it seriously out there at Traction. It's wild.
Well, got to take that stuff seriously right now. You want a football season or what? You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm talking about taking the game seriously, T-ball games, and it's wild. But yes, take the mask thing seriously, yes. You want football.
I've told Terrio many times, like, congratulations on being the richest person in Baton Rouge. He looks at me like, what are you talking about? I was like, I've driven by Traction on a Wednesday night. Oh. Like, I think the entire city is at your complex. There are literally, we're going off script here, but there are, well, not that we have a script, but there are literally more people at Traction on some Tuesday and Wednesday league nights than there are at Alec Box Stadium for midweek games. And I mean,
it's crazy,
they'll put 2,000-3,000 people at the box sometimes for midweek games, and they'll put 5,000 to 8,000 people at the Traction facility, depending on a league night. It's crazy.
Yeah, he runs an efficient operation out there, and he is printing money for sure.
Well, let me ask you. Speaking of printing money, if you did that, then you could afford this. The world's most expensive bourbon, Michter's Distillery, was doing a charity event, and they sold a barrel of their 10-year Kentucky Straight for nearly $210,000, the highest price ever paid at auction for a single barrel of bourbon anywhere in the world. Reaction to that, first of all?
I heard rumblings of this last week, and I didn't think it was true, but it is true.
What would real quick, what would a barrel of Michter's 10 normally go for?
I have no idea.
What does a bottle? All right, what does a bottle of Michter's 10 go for in your raffle?
$130 retail.
Okay, $130 retail. So a barrel of that still would be far under $210,000.
Oh, it would probably be $10,000 to $15,000 for a barrel.
So why did this go for $210,000?
Because they don't do this. This is not a thing. They must have had some super interested bidders to get up to $210,000. I think it was for charity too, though. So I don't know. I mean, it's really good juice, but Jesus, that's a lot of money.
What is the appeal? So Michter's 10 is very popular, and it's one of those unicorns that's hard to find. What is the appeal for many of Michter's 10?
You know, I don't know what it's always good. Whether it's the rye, whether it's the bourbon, all of their older age stuff it's generally really good product. Their toasted barrel stuff, they do a toasted barrel bourbon, a toasted barrel rye. The toasted barrel bourbon is generally one of my favorite bourbons every year. They toast the barrels. I think they put a little more toast on the barrels than normal.
What does that mean?
It just is a really good product. So a different char level. Okay. They char all the barrels before they put them in for bourbon, but they do a different char level for the Michter's toasted barrel, and it's usually one of my favorite bourbons they release every year.
One of the things that I want to do is go through maybe because I think there are probably more novices listening to us who might be interested in getting into whiskey and bourbon or rye or whatever types of whiskey, as opposed to the people who are the hardcore fans. And there was a list that I saw recently. You could find these all over the internet, but the best bottles of bourbon for whiskey novices. And maybe we could start checking off a few of these, and you can kind of give your opinion on them. And one of the first they mentioned is, I know, a very popular one that you sell a lot of, which is Four Roses, which has many different releases also. Give me your review or opinion on just the Four Roses, the bourbon, the straight bourbon.
Just the basic yellow label.
Yep.
It's a really super solid introductory bourbon. I mean, and Four Roses has been around for a long time. It's a good, easy drinker, young bourbon. Yeah, and it's appropriately priced too. It's not more than $30. So, but you can get up there with Four Roses too, with their single barrel select and all that stuff. So.
When you look at Four Roses that has their straight bourbon, the yellow label that you mentioned, then the small batch and the single barrel, how do you start to differentiate the three and where the value is?
Well, I mean, the single barrel for obvious reasons, because and Four Roses I think has 11 different mash bills that they pull from. I think it's 11. Could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's 11. So you get different flavors from each mash bill. And for those who don't know what a mash bill is a recipe.
It's basically the ingredients.
Yes, it's the ingredients. But they also, if they age it in different warehouses, there's warehouses at Four Roses that are renowned for having really good yields of barrels that doesn't really matter what mash bill they go into.
Crap.
So.
I got 15 seconds. We'll pick this up next week. In the meantime, go see Taylor at either Calandro's location. Enjoy the T-ball tonight, man. We'll see you next week.
All right, Matt. Thanks.
Thanks. You see, we got so far off with T-ball. Stick around.
AFR.
Brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. 288-8138, 288-8138, and ReliefWindows.com. Windows, door, siding, ReliefWindows.com. If you need windows, doors, or siding, you call Relief Windows. That's what you do because nobody does it better. When you want windows, doors, or siding, you want Relief Windows. But I got to tell you, talking to Brandon Holly this week, and he said, Matt, I could literally hire 16 to 20 crew members right now if people wanted to work. I know right now in our city, like in every city in America, there are people who have hit tough times because of COVID. Maybe you're out of work and looking for work. If you would like a career instead of a job, Relief Windows. If you want benefits like retirement and health insurance, you've got to inquire. Relief Windows. They take care of their employees, and they are looking to hire today. So if you or someone you know is looking for work, Relief Windows or ReliefWindows.com. Windows, door, siding, ReliefWindows.com.
Divorce is hard. Divorce is messy. Divorce is exhausting. The law offices of O.C. Brown walked me through my divorce and helped me find the right solution for me, my kids, my finances, and my property.
Call the law offices of O.C. Brown, your law firm for a lifetime.
I'm Jay Cody. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jdacody.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
When you want the best of Louisiana, you don't go to a superstore. We know what we like, and we like it local. Same goes for banking. As one of Louisiana's largest local banks, we offer homegrown services crafted around you. Gulf Coast Bank, the bank that cares about you.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Prompt, professional, reliable. If you're looking for a breath of fresh air with your AC and heating needs, call the professionals at Anison Bitter. Anison Bitter, a Rheem Pro partner, keeping your family comfortable for over 25 years.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years.
Callahan Injury Lawyers.
Hour 2 of After Further Review coming your way shortly. The NFL has confirmed today that if fans are allowed at NFL games this season, they will have to wear masks. They have not announced a league-wide policy on allowing fans at games. They're leaving that up to the individual teams to make the decision based on local mandates. The Toronto Blue Jays are still homeless for this season after the state of Pennsylvania said, nah, we good. Back to the drawing board for the Blue Jays looking for a home stadium. As it stands right now, playing as the home team in every visiting stadium that they go to is actually still on the table. And the clock is ticking because Major League Baseball is back. There are 9 games on the slate for tonight. In fact, right now, the Marlins have a 1-0 lead over the Braves in the top of the third. And the Cardinals have a 2-1 lead over the Royals in the also in the top of the third. Hour 2 of After Further Review coming your way right now.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After Further Review.
Say it one more time.
After Further Review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, presented by Pluckers. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
And the brain.
Hey, the brain got a poop.
We're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one, folks. Eddie Nunez, bottom of this hour. He is the former LSU associate AD, now the AD at New Mexico State. Really interesting story in that state. Did you see that today? The governor of New Mexico is requesting that colleges there delay the start of their season. So as an athletic director, what do you do if you're Eddie Nunez? And that's one of the big questions, right? Every state by state, based on what those particular state orders are and what phase they're in, it's going to determine in many respects what those respective athletic departments are able to do. So you could have state by state in the same conference different criteria. You could not only have different attendance, but literally different people have the opportunity to play. So we'll talk about that with Eddie Nunez, a group of 5 AD who's making his way through all of that right now as a first-time athletic director there at New Mexico State. And she's at the University of New Mexico. I don't know why I said New Mexico State. Forgive me. But, we'll talk to him about that, about what that decision's like right now. And you kind of contrast it to what's happening in other spots in the Power 5, which, for example, yesterday, ESPN held its college football live show, and it was sort of a state of college football special that they did last evening. And they had a lot of the particulars around college football who were part of the show. They had conference commissioners, and they had Jack Swarbrick, who's the athletic director at Notre Dame. And maybe the most newsworthy thing to come of this from Jack Swarbrick, the AD at Notre Dame, was that he's wanting a delayed start to college football and a game that includes season that includes 8 to 10 games. So the AD at Notre Dame is saying, yeah, we want to push back the start and play just 8 or 10 games. Can anyone figure out the obvious reason why the Notre Dame athletic director would like to delay the start of the season and play just 8 to 10 games? Anybody? Yes, Brain.
Is it because other conferences are going to conference only?
Well, mainly because Notre Dame's not in a conference.
Yeah, so who do they play?
That's the answer. Notre Dame's not in a conference. So they've already... So you answered it indirectly. You answered it in the form of a question, like in Jeopardy, right? That's kind of what that was. Notre Dame was scheduled to play USC. Does anybody know what conference USC is in? Anybody? Yes, Brain.
I know,
yes, Brain.
What is the Pac-12?
That is correct. Does anybody know what conference Stanford is in? Anybody? Anybody?
I was going to defer, but
yes,
I'll
Brain.
dig in. What is the Pac-12?
Yes, that is correct. Notre Dame also scheduled to play Wisconsin this year. Does anybody know what conference that Wisconsin is in? Anybody?
Paul's making me look like Ken Jennings over here. What is the Big Ten?
You got it. 3 for 3, Brain. You're routing him. He's the like the Vegas guy. What was that guy? Holzhauer. That's who he. Except Holzhauer had a really like gregarious personality. Talked a lot of smack. That's not really Paul. Maybe you two are the opposite. Who's the third guy on the Champions? Did you remember that?
Yeah,
it was Jennings, Holzhauer, and the third guy. And the third guy didn't answer anything. He got boat raced by those two. Yeah. Maybe that's Paul. He's the third guy. The really smart guy that doesn't say much. Anyway, they're also scheduled to play Western Michigan. Does anybody know what conference Western Michigan's in?
Hope that one's not the Daily Double.
Point is, Western Michigan could well, as many Group of 5 leagues might, could well end up not playing a season or delaying the start of their season. So, you know, when you look at this, you're looking at potentially a third of their schedule, Notre Dame's schedule, not playing Notre Dame. So you'd have to replace a third of your schedule if they played a full schedule, which would be very difficult to do. I digress. They are going to play. Notre Dame will play 6 ACC games. We know that. They've also got Arkansas on the schedule. Does anybody know what conference Arkansas is in?
Paul?
I know that one.
What you got, Paulie?
That would be the SEC.
It is the SEC. And it's very likely that the SEC is going to play a full 12 or, at worst, a conference +1, which means Arkansas could play their game against Notre Dame. And then also Navy. Navy's in. Anybody know what conference Navy's in? Anybody? Navy.
Are they the Big East?
They're an independent. Navy's an independent. So Navy and Notre Dame could play as well. So if you're Jack Swarbrick, you're going, let's see. All right, I got my 6 games against ACC. I know that I can play Arkansas because the SEC, they're going to play football. And Navy's an independent, so they're going to play as 2 to start the season. So that's 8. So you know what we should do? We should delay the start of the season and play 8 to 10 games. Of course that's what the Notre Dame athletic director wants. But the rest of college football should look at Jack Swarbrick and say, nobody cares what you want. You don't play by anybody else's rules, dope. Join a conference. So it is entirely possible that if the Big Ten elects to go to their conference +1 model, play a 10-game schedule, the SEC could well play their conference +1, although it seems as though they're wanting to play a full 12-game schedule. And that's what the athletic director, Chris Del Conte at Texas, said yesterday, is they're planning for a 12-game schedule to open up September the 5th against South Florida at Darrell K. Royal Memorial Stadium at 50% capacity. Like, it's unlikely the other conferences that have delayed are going to conform to what Notre Dame wants. The ACC would be most likely because the ACC wants Notre Dame as part of its league, but that's not going to dictate what other leagues do. Greg Sankey's been very clear on this. No other league is going to dictate what the SEC does. So a couple of things from Greg Sankey on College Football Live last evening. First of all, they asked Greg Sankey about his self-imposed deadline, the late July deadline that he gave himself to make a determination about the start of the season. And here's how Sankey answered it.
I haven't put a deadline. I've actually put dates out there. And Reese, I wrote up a timeline way back in May. And I realized how much has changed since then. So we look at next week as an important milestone. And the way I'll explain it is I have finished 41 marathons in my life. And I realize you're going to go mile by mile. And we are on that journey. The challenge right now is to understand where the finish line may be. And last week we increased athletic activity. There's an opportunity to do the same later this week. And so we've had a check-in point today about our preparations to do so. Next week is a week prior to practice. We will have seen a lot lot of professional sports activity through the month of July. NFL training camps are scheduled to begin officially next week, but we've got rookies reporting, so we've got learning opportunities there. And we've tried to use every one of these experiences as a learning opportunity to help inform our decision making. And the milestone check next week is, are we ready to move into that stage of practice? And part of that will be a conversation about what does the season look like? And that's a conversation that's been taking place for weeks.
Sounds like he's hedging a bit, doesn't it? I didn't put a deadline. I've been throwing out dates. And it's not really about the season. It's about, are we ready for practice to start taking place? He's delaying a lot of that. Really, I didn't hear much of what he said because all I heard was that very humble brag he dropped in.
The way I'll explain it is I have finished 41 marathons in my life.
Thank you, Greg. But Reese did ask him about a spring season and the possibility of playing a spring season like many of the smaller leagues have already announced they intend to do.
Well, here's the problem I see with the spring right now. So we've kept that on a list of alternatives, but I've not had the explanation of how we'll be assured some reality come spring that will be better than the fall. And in fact, as you look at cold and flu season, which people have talked about, the deeper you go, the more problematic that can be. And we're all in this world of unpredictability. We are building the bridge as we cross the river and writing the instruction manual as we do so.
Translation. We ain't playing football in the spring. We'll start to get more idea coming up in 1 week. July 31st is Thursday, the last day of July, and we'll have a much better idea as to what the SEC intends to do. What we do know is that in 2 days, in less than 48 hours, Ed Ogeron and his football team are going to be on the field at 6 a.m. out at LSU going through a walkthrough practice, and that's pretty stinking exciting. With all the COVID talk, it's really nice to be able to talk about some actual football things that are happening on the field, and that starts this week. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Carriages in Bocage, carriagesbr.com. Their summer sale is going on. Buy more, save more. Store-wide savings up to 50%. That's 50. That's 50. Store-wide up to 50%. 50% off suits. 50% off sport coats. 50% off summer sportswear. A lot of it's already marked 50% off. And there are additional sales where the more you buy, the more you save. Buy one item, get 20% off. Buy two items, get 40% off. Buy three items, get 50% off. It's at Carriages in Bocage. Online at carriagesbr.com. You want to go stock up on the summer sale? Do it right now at Carriages in Bocage. They're online at carriagesbr.com. Carriagesbr.com for Carriages in Bocage. All right, Eddie Nunez, bottom of this hour, University of New Mexico athletic director. When we come back, I think we're going to throw out a freak jury. Would you miss a relative's wedding to stay in the NBA bubble? One player did that. And I got a Zion update. Stay here, AFR.
AFR.
Hump Day shows all throughout the year. Brought to you by Pluckers, Nicholson, just south of campus, Bluebonnet, right in front of the Mall of Louisiana. Dine in or carry out. 24 flavors of award-winning jumbo chicken wings, ice cold draft beer, full-service bar, sports on TV. You do know what tomorrow is, right? Tomorrow is baseball's opening day. Tomorrow is the day where the Yankees begin their quest for a championship and the Braves disappoint Paul and Hester. And no one really cares about the Mets, so we're going to ignore Brain on this one. Tomorrow's baseball's opening day, and although it's later than normal and in a modified setting, it's still opening day. And if you treat opening day like a holiday like many do, then you need to be at Pluckers. Either location, Nicholson just south of campus or Bluebonnet right in front of the Mall of Louisiana. Watch baseball's opening day, eat wings and drink beer. What could be more American than that? Opening day. Tomorrow, Pluckers. You don't like our wings. We'll give you the bird.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Toyota, we don't just sell cars, we buy them too. Bring your car in so we can see it, and within minutes you can turn your car into cash or trade it in towards your next vehicle. It's a fast and easy process. We buy your car at Corval Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
This is a house call. This is a test result. This is a prescription refill. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare. Start your virtual visit today at Auctioner Health.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens, make not thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers, offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
0% for 72 months on all new 2020 F-150s. Visit Bayou Ford for a new 2020 Ford F-150 with 0% for 72 months. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty.
After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Presented by Plucker's Wing Bar. Open till midnight or later every night of the week, where every Monday is all-you-can-eat wings. Plucker's Wing Bar. If you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
You know, obviously that we would love to have him here, and we would love to have him for every scrimmage and every game. If he is not here, then we have to have other guys step up. We talk about it all the time. It's next man up.
Brain, are we going to put a moratorium on Alvin Gentry's sound again? Because, man, he just doesn't say much.
I remember there was a moratorium when I left. I was surprised to hear you call for it during the break.
Well, he actually started saying some meaningful things this past year with Zion around and whatnot. So we lifted the moratorium, but when you're going to start throwing out next man up, come on. Alvin! Maybe we should start using that.
A little Dave Seville.
Who's Dave Seville? Is he the guy who
takes care of the Chipmunks?
Oh, sorry. Make this a poll question, Brain. Do you know Dave's last name? Dave, who takes care of Alvin and the Chipmunks. Do you know his last name? Yes or no? Okay. And I'm going to guess that 96.7% of the respondents will say no, because very few people on Twitter are even going to be aware of the show, let alone that Dave is the human's name, and even further that his last name is Seville. That's
in the
bonkers.
Context of the conversation.
Bonkers that you knew that. Bonkers. Paul, did you know that?
I did not.
See? And Paul knows everything.
All right. in the context of the conversation, it's not a leap just to say, oh, would that be the guy?
No. I forgot what we were talking about now. Alvin Gentry. Yeah, got it. Okay. So read for me the poll question as you have it written, please.
Well, so far I have, do you know the last name of Dave who takes care of the Chipmunks?
Say of Alvin and the Chipmunks, because just the Chipmunks I don't think is sufficient.
Some random chipmunk.
Yeah, right. Who takes care of the Chipmunks? You mean the ones that live in the tree down the road? Yeah. Takes care of it. Okay. Yeah, and then it's yes or no. And I'm going to we will go over, it will be in excess of 90% of the people who say no to Dave Seville. That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to guess that. So we got to give an update on Zion. You heard Alvin Gentry there talk about next man up with Zion. I'll give you an update on Zion in just a second. But Will in Gulfport wins Twitter today. I got to give him a shout out. You can always tweet me or at Matt Moscona or tweet the show. So I quote tweeted the Falcons earlier today when they said we are planning to have between 10,000 and 20,000 fans at our games this season. And I said, so no change in regular attendance. And a lot of Saints fans love that, and they've had a lot of fun with that today, as you'd expect. Will in Gulfport wins Twitter, though. He replied to me, you just got to move on. We're all struggling on some level. I'm a hoot at, but let bygones be bygones. If, all caps, if anyone has a problem, I live at 283 Shanahan Way. Why are the 28-3 digs so beautiful? And then he also threw in there, by the way, Matt, the midshipmen are the American Athletic Conference. I totally forgot they were in a conference. I forgot Navy wasn't an independent anymore. And I think Army's in Conference USA. Why 28-3? It'll just never get old. Forevermore, I will laugh at 28-3. In whatever context it's thrown out.
On my deathbed, my doctor can walk in and say, your blood pressure's 28/3, and I'll be like, winning.
You're literally dying laughing. That's funny. Oh, man. All right, it's after further review. So the Pelicans today did, in fact, give an update on Zion Williamson. It's just a couple of lines. I'll read it for you from their release. New Orleans Pelicans forward Zion Williamson, who departed the NBA campus in Orlando last week to attend an urgent family matter, has been getting tested daily for COVID-19 while away from the team and continues to produce negative results. That's great news. The statement continues. While there's no current timetable for his return to campus, he fully intends to rejoin the team. Per NBA protocol, his quarantine period will be determined upon his return. Further updates will be provided accordingly. So, here's what stinks about that. By the way, you do have a Pelicans game tonight. So, a little more than 1 hour from right now, 5:30 Central, our New Orleans affiliate, 100.3 ESPN, New Orleans flagship for the Pelicans. They are going to leave AFR to carry the Pelicans exhibition game from the bubble. So, you will have actual NBA basketball with the Pelicans less than an hour from right now, but no Zion. It's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out because the NBA will determine the quarantine period for each player once they return to the bubble. Could be 4 days, could be 10 days, could be 14 days. This is super relevant because the Pelicans are scheduled to play the Jazz a week from tomorrow. So if Zion comes back to the bubble and is quarantined for 10 or 14 days, he's missing games, obviously. And in this restart, you have 8 opportunities to try to win a playoff spot. So anytime you don't have Zion, obviously, Alvin Gentry can say next man up all he wants. If you don't have the best player on your team, you're not going to be as good. Hello, Captain Obvious. But this is what's going to be very interesting. If you're talking a minimum 4-day quarantine for Zion, he's got to get back by this weekend, and ideally, you'd like that to be the max quarantine, so that way he could be available for you next Thursday when you play the Jazz. So we'll keep you posted there. By the way, this is a fascinating story. Alex Caruso, Lakers reserve guard, former A&M Aggie, His older sister was getting married July 18th. That was this past Saturday. Caruso wanted to go. He broached the subject with Lakers brass. They absolutely said, go, we support you. But in leaving the bubble, he'd then have to be quarantined for an indefinite amount of time once he returned, similar to Zion and Montrezl Harrell and Patrick Beverley, who have all left the bubble and will have to be quarantined based on the NBA's discretion whenever they return. So Caruso, if his quarantine period would approach that sort of 10-day threshold, then he'd be missing games, and so ultimately decided that he was not going to go. He was looking at private flights, safe houses in Austin where the wedding was happening that he could stay in and so he wouldn't have to be mingling with the rest of the population there, have testing, whatever. But ultimately, Thursday, 2 days before the wedding, decided that he was going to skip the wedding. So he did that ultimately. Thoughts? If you were Caruso, would you skip the wedding? Would you skip the wedding to stay in the bubble?
Yes.
Paul, would you skip the wedding of a sibling to stay in the bubble?
Probably not.
Really? I would. I'd skip the wedding to stay in the bubble. I actually had a similar situation. My sister got married while we were in Houston with Drew. So for those that don't know, my son was born, he was very sick and was born in Houston at Texas Children's Hospital, and we were there for 9 months. The only time that I left in that whole period was when my sister got married. She got married on a Friday, so I left Friday, drove to Baton Rouge, went to the wedding, went to sleep, woke up at like 5 a.m., drove right back to Houston. I wasn't even gone 24 hours. But I also didn't have to quarantine or anything like that. But if I had to quarantine, like if it was going to be away from, like if I went to that, they wouldn't let me back in the hospital to see my son for a week, 10 days, 14 days. There's no way I would have left. Zero. I got a good piece of advice one time. And it's very, very good advice. It's okay to miss a wedding. It's never okay to miss a funeral. And I think that's so true when you live that out. Like, Brain, you were at my wedding. I don't even remember really I don't want to say who was at the wedding, but you forget a lot of people that are at your wedding.
Your wedding was a good time.
Weddings generally are a very joyous occasion. And there's nothing that's going to bring you down. If someone can't go, you just understand. And it's like, no biggie, whatever. Probably just cost you money if they go anyway. But so whatever, if you miss a wedding, you miss a wedding. We did have a good time.
What was his role in this wedding?
It was his sister.
No, but
I don't know.
Yeah,
Doesn't
I think
matter.
that plays into it, doesn't it? Like if he's the best man,
do you really care who was standing next to you there? Do you think it matters?
I mean, I did.
Now?
Yeah. But if it was like an usher, I don't know, third groomsman or worse, you can skip it.
If you're the best man, then you kind of got to be there. All right. It's after further review. Another poll question, Brain. Would you skip your sibling's wedding to stay in the NBA bubble? Yes or no?
Is this poll or are we going to do the... Okay.
Poll. I got to go because Eddie Nunez is coming up. I don't want to be on time for this. Maybe we'll do a freak jury on this later. Okay, it's after further review. Let me knock out a break. Eddie Nunez, former LSU associate AD, now the athletic director at the University of New Mexico. He'll join us next on AFR.
AFR.
Think real estate? Think Darren James. 335-7666. That's Darren's cell. And you know why I give you Darren's cell on a radio ad? Because Darren wants his clients to have an unbelievable customer service experience. When I tell you all the time that Darren sells more homes than anybody, I mean, literally. He's on the Inc. 5000 fastest growing companies in America list. He's on the Wall Street Journal's list of the top 1,000 realtors in America, top 1% of realtors in all of the United States of America, number one realtor and realty team in Baton Rouge. But in spite of all the volume they do, Darren still has a way of making you feel like you are his only client. He wants you to have an unbelievable experience with him selling your home. 335-7666. So that's why he gives that a sell. I want you to call him, 335-7666 or agent225.com. Commercial, residential, buying, selling. When you think real estate, think Darren James.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens, make not thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. and I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
Here at the Big Squeezy, we continue to serve the Baton Rouge and Southeast Louisiana areas during these troubling times. We are dedicated to providing you healthy food items to help you live your best life. From our cold-pressed juices to our delicious smoothies, let the Big Squeezy keep you going. Stay active, stay happy, and let us help you stay healthy. Visit us at our locations and also inside of Alexander's and Mathern's grocery stores or online at thebigsqueezy.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
You know that I got it, yeah. You know that I got it, yeah. All this game up in my pocket, bet that you can't stop it. You know that I got it, yeah.
After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Presented by Plucker's Wing Bar. Open till midnight or later every night of the week, where every Monday is all-you-can-eat wings. Plucker's Wing Bar. If you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
Governor Grisham in New Mexico has asked for colleges in that state to postpone fall sports. Conveniently, Eddie Nunez, who is the athletic director at the University of New Mexico and a former associate AD at LSU and has been a friend of ours on the show for a long time, is good enough to join us, talk a little bit about this and what this means for his program, for the Mountain West, college football as a whole. Eddie, thanks for the time, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. How about yourself, Matt?
Doing very well, man. We appreciate you for jumping aboard of what has to be a really busy time. So I'm assuming you and your colleagues have been in touch with Governor Grisham there. How have those conversations prior to today and maybe subsequent gone so far?
You know, that was the interesting part about this. We've been having conversations with her and her office. Really, we embarked on this whole COVID pandemic deal. The reality is I already had early understanding of where she felt we were going to be in the fall, or where she wanted us to be. So the letter coming out yesterday was a little bit surprising that it came out, but not surprising as far as understanding where she wants us to be. So we've had good dialogue. We've presented more plans than you could imagine, probably like very much like everyone else in the country, as far as returning our student athletes, returning back to play, what it all looks like. And unfortunately, you know, the reality is she felt the letter had to be sent, and we have to basically address it. So that's where we are today.
How do you address it?
I was very upfront and honest with her, and I basically explained to her that at this point, it isn't that we're trying to go against you. It's not that we're trying to go in a different direction. But we do have an affiliation with the Mountain West Conference, with the NCAA. There's a lot of dialogue that's happening. There's a lot of conversations. And as we've gone through this, that's kind of led a lot of the conversation to where we are today. So at this point, we will continue to go through those conversations with our Mountain West, with the NCAA, the Group of Five, the Power Five, have those conversations, and then come back to her at some point, if it's in a week from today, 2 weeks from today, if the decision is to play, not to play, push it back, all those many questions that we're all asking ourselves, and be able to sit down with her and say, look, here's all the information. This is everything we're looking at doing, and hopefully we can find a way to collaborate and come to a reasonable decision. So,
will she ultimately have the final say as to whether or not you all and your colleagues there in the state are able to play this fall?
She will tell you that she really doesn't hold that key to be able to say that, but there is part of living in this state and understanding the dynamics like in everyone else. We have to respect that she is our governor. She's trying to do what's right for our state and our residents. But the reality is, there is a lot of information that's out there that right now that's not being considered. So it's my responsibility to make sure that I put it all in front of her, and hopefully she can take it all and say, this is why we're going to put our team, our student athletes, our state in a position where it's going to be done, and it's going to be done right. So I'm not going to go into it with the idea that I want to go against her purposely, because that's not what we're here for. It's to work with her in her office and try to make this right.
Understood. Eddie, theoretically, could the Mountain West play without New Mexico?
I think in reality they can do many things. Yeah. Hopefully that's not a conversational starter with them, that they start thinking that way. But I've had conversations with Commissioner Thompson today and explaining him kind of the same thing we're talking about today, is where we are, what's happened, where the governor is. Right now there's no anticipation with that, but is that a possibility? Sure. I mean, just like any school can come out tomorrow and say, we don't want to play. And that's the right of that institution. They have to also understand that with that comes some financial challenges, because with that you don't get probably your percentage of your TV revenue or anything else that comes along with it. So it's the positives and negatives of being able to do it, understanding that yes, student athlete health and well-being is number one importance, but there's also this major financial challenge that we're all facing.
Yeah. I probably should have started with this, but it sounds like you and I'm just reading your tone here, but it sounds like you want to play. Like you want to play in some way, however that might look. Is that where you stand here?
Absolutely. I think for us is, trying to take everything that we got. I'm not, we've got a medical advisory team for our conference, just like every conference does. We have our in-house doctors, our team physicians. We have a hospital on our campus, of course, so that actually helps and aid and gives a lot of direction when it comes to what we're dealing with. So for me, it is what can we do to try to find a way to play? And again, there's so many different scenarios, starting on time, starting a little bit further back, if it's pushed back a month or two. If we get into the spring, you're right, and I think you've mentioned this before and others have as well, it becomes really problematic pushing it to the spring. It's not to say it can't be done, but there is just as many questions with it. So the idea is we'd hope we can find a way to get all our teams to be able to play this fall.
He's on Twitter at Eddie Nunez AD, former LSU associate AD Eddie Nunez, now the athletic director at New Mexico, and they're very much in the center of the conversation today with New Mexico's governor releasing a letter asking the colleges to delay the start of the football season. How you alluded to this a little bit when you were talking about the Mountain West and revenue sharing and so on. For your athletic department, to whatever degree you're able to go into detail, Eddie, how important is it for your athletic department and the University of New Mexico to have a football season?
Oh, it's paramount. I mean, when you look at it, just looking at our conference revenues and our distribution, truly it's almost, and I want to say it's in the 80% of the revenue that we take in is related totally to football. So as good as our basketball programs have been and have had success from a basketball side, and the reality is, over 80% of our Mountain West revenue comes from our football contracts, our CFP, our television rights, and so there's a lot to do with this. So finding a way to be able to get some of that is important. I mean, we saw what the NCAA men's basketball tournament did to us this past spring. That was hard. This is just as challenging for all schools, not just us.
Can you elaborate there on what missing out on the basketball tournament did for your athletic department?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll kind of hit on 2 points. First is, we lost just from an NCAA revenue right about $1.2 million. And again, when you think about $1.2 million in what most people in Baton Rouge are looking at, LSU or something like that, it's hard to understand. Our budget's around about a $40 million budget. So it's peanuts compared to the $180 million or more so that LSU is at times. So when you look at $1.2 million, and everybody's fluctuates, of course, based off number of games, everything else, teams you're sponsoring. But for us to lose $1.2 million, that was a huge hit. Add on top of that, the loss of special events, other contests, events that we already had planned. We lost this year, just alone COVID related, right about $3.2 million worth, basically this past spring, just all COVID related. And it's hard. It's hard for a program like mine. I'm going to be $3.5 million in the red this year. 3.2 of it or so is basically COVID related. So it's challenging. It makes it extremely challenging for us to be able to move forward when these revenues, these outside revenues like TV sponsorships, conference distributions, when we don't get those, it's challenging for us.
I got a couple more for you. The USC game. You all were scheduled to play Southern Cal this year. Now they've gone conference only. Two-part. First, what were the conversations like with Southern Cal when you, or were you just made aware of that whenever you learned the Pac-12 was going conference only? And what does the loss of that game mean for your program and your athletic department?
So very much like many Group of 5 schools, there's a lot of dependency when it comes to our guarantee games. This year, the conversations with USC were pretty much dormant all the way leading up to basically the day before that they made the decision. We had the conversations as far as, look, we're going to continue to look at things, and everybody was kind of staying the course. And then all of a sudden when the decision was made that they were going to a conference-only schedule, it really caught a lot of us off guard because that wasn't anything that was anticipated by the Pac-12. I mean, the day before was when you saw the Big Ten and others kind of start making this same direction. Since then, we've had one or two conversations with them. Right now, our legal attorneys are looking at this because we do feel like there is some opportunities for us to be able to get some of the money that we are guaranteed. And the institution, prior to me arriving here, received some of the money up front of the $1 million plus that they were supposed to get. So we have about $1 million right now still left that we were hoping to collect when we played them. So that's a huge hit to us. We do have Mississippi State. We do have two other non-conference games. One's a home and home, and the other one is an FCS opponent that we're playing. So it's the Mississippi State would be another one. It's something that it's another $1 million plus that we're looking at, hoping to help our offset our cost, our budget. And so if they don't happen, one of the things we're doing is we're looking right now. We've had probably more than a handful of conversations with major universities across the country trying to fill those holes. And even if we have one or two of these other schools that say, you know what, we can't play, we have somebody to hopefully fill those roles with if the time comes.
So could Southern, is the door open for Southern Cal or the Pac-12 to reverse course and potentially play a full season, or is that done?
No, you know what? It's never done. I think you have to start off with that. It's never done. I think if they come back and say, you know what, I think we would go back. The issue is I don't think any of them have done anything with those dates. I think the schools that they probably canceled with are looking for every alternative. but as probably we are, it's not like you're signing a full contract with those other schools that you're having conversations, because we don't know what tomorrow's, heck, we don't know what the next hour is going to look like.
Yeah. You mentioned trying to, and we're going long here, Eddie. I hope just a couple more if you don't mind. Okay, thank you. I find this interesting, and it's a great resource because I think I'm learning a lot, so I know our audience is learning a lot too. You mentioned pursuing other games to fill those dates? Are those can you say are those Power 5 schools maybe that lost non-conference games that they had scheduled with the Big Ten or Pac-12 opponent, or is it other Group of 5 schools?
Both. It's everything. I think I would be doing disservice to our program if I didn't look at everything, because I just can't put all my eggs in one basket. So there are some Power 5s. There's some other schools that we're looking for other spots just in case. Looking at our own conference opponents that we don't play this year, having conversation with them just in case. And as you look at this, everyone says, well, you're still looking at all these different games, even though you know that this might get pushed back. The reality is we have to plan for the best. And that's our hope, is that even if it gets pushed back a month and we have to adjust 1 or 2 games or however it is, or even 2 months, whatever that direction is when it comes, that we at least have some schools that are willing to step in and play or hopefully compensate us accordingly for those to offset the losses that we are taking.
I only have 2 more. Number one, could you make it work financially if you had to play games with no fans?
Well, could I make it work? I could absolutely make it work. I don't know if when it comes to the bottom line at the end of the year, if that's what you're asking, no.
Mm-hmm.
It would be, we've done some conceptual numbers, and for us not to have football at all, first of all, at 0 would mean basically almost a $15 to $20 million loss. When you start looking at
a $40 million budget.
Yeah. And then you start looking at the idea of moving into spring, there's going to be a revenue loss there. Will we get some back? Sure. But the only offset when it comes to that is ticket sales. For us, I don't want to say I'm fortunate, because it is an unfortunate situation, but if I can get 50% of my stadium filled, if I get 40%, if I get 38%, I am actually making our budget for football season ticket sales, because we haven't averaged something as crazy as the Power 5 or some others. We're building our program here. So we've got the opportunity to make that up, but we just need to be able to have some leeway.
Makes sense. Okay, last thing, and your time very much appreciated. We've seen a lot of FCS conferences, SWAC, MEAC, A10, CAA, all either mostly postpone their season. Ivy. We haven't yet seen Group of 5 leagues do that yet. Do any of those leagues influence potentially the Mountain West or other Group of 5 leagues' decisions?
I don't want to say they don't, because I'm not speaking to anybody in the Conference USA or the Sun Belt or any of those other ones, the American. But from our conference, we try to take it all in. We have a spreadsheet that basically shows everybody and what they're doing, every school, every conference so far that we have. And the biggest thing we're trying to do is understand why they're making their decisions. Some of them, their areas are a little more affected by COVID, so it's a little more challenging. So do we take it into consideration? Always. We always look at other schools and other conferences to see what they're doing. But to say that it affects us as far as us making a decision today, I think we want to make one thing certain is, however we move forward, we want to do it as a collective group with the Group of 5, with the Power 5, and trying to stay the course and say, look, we all in this together. We have to try to find out the best way to get to where we want to be. If it is pushing it back, so be it. But at least we go in it together as far as we can. And if one school decides here or there that they want to go a different route, we can't judge them for it. We just got to understand they've got scenarios that unfortunately they have to deal with.
This is really enlightening, man. I can't thank you enough for the time. And hopefully we get to visit again soon. Thank you, Eddie.
My pleasure. Everyone have a great day.
You do the same, man. Best to you and your family. That is Eddie Nunez, the athletic director at the University of New Mexico, former associate AD out at LSU. We'll react to that coming up. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by the Baton Rouge General Hospital. They're online at brgeneral.org, part of the Mayo Clinic Care Network. What that means for you is that your physician in Baton Rouge, at the Baton Rouge General, gets access to the specialists and world-class research at the Mayo Clinic at no extra cost to you. So your doctor here at the Baton Rouge General can call the world-renowned specialist at the Mayo Clinic or tap into their research to help better serve you, get a second opinion on your case, etc. And it's exclusive in this area. The Baton Rouge General Hospital, when I say part of the Mayo Clinic Care Network, that's what I'm referring to. Of course, the Baton Rouge General Hospital, so much more. Virtual visits are now available. If you don't want to or can't get out because of COVID, they're still making it available to you. Check out their mobile app, their surgery fast pass on the website. It's brgeneral.org. The resources are there for you. Baton Rouge General Hospital.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
104.5 ESPN invites you to take a short quiz for a chance to win a brand new EU1000 generator from our friends at Bozeman Distributors. Simply go to 1045ESPN.com now through August 16th and take the quiz to see how prepared you are for hurricane season. Everyone who takes the quiz is automatically entered to win the generator. Our winner will be chosen on Monday, August 17th. Get prepared for hurricane season from 1045 ESPN and stay prepared with Bozeman Distributors.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Toyota, we don't just sell cars, we buy them too. Bring your car in so we can see it, and within minutes you can turn your car into cash or trade it in towards your next vehicle. It's a fast and easy process. We buy.
After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Presented by Plucker's Wing Bar. Open till midnight or later every night of the week, where every Monday is all-you-can-eat wings. Plucker's Wing Bar. If you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
I just looked at the TV. Rachel Nichols is live from the bubble, and she looks like she's about to rob somebody. It's so weird when you look at reporters on TV wearing masks. Like, we all walk into stores wearing masks now. It's bonkers. I mean, I get it, but it's bonkers. All right, Brain, in the history of the world on this very day, tell us what happened in sports.
I've got two things that weren't in the world of cricket that happened in sports today.
Okay.
What happened in cricket? Apparently,
Okay.
there's a bowler named V.E. Walker.
What's a bowler? It's a cricket player?
Basically the pitcher.
Oh.
This day in 1963, in their second clash, Sonny Liston once again knocked out Floyd Patterson in round one. He held onto his world heavyweight boxing title when he did so.
Oh, okay.
And it was on this day in 1994 that former NFL running back, broadcaster, and actor. I love that they list all three of those. O.J. Simpson pled not just not guilty. He pled absolutely 100% not guilty.
That was today,
murder.
huh? July 22nd?
1994.
When O.J. Is it he pled not guilty or he pleaded not guilty? You say pleaded.
I believe both of them are correct. Pled would be the past tense of plead.
I think it's pleaded.
I can look it up. Or do you want another poll question?
Well, they won't know. But you know, like the past tense of hang is not hung. It's
hang.
It's hanged.
Right.
I just think that's when we mess up. Anyway, sorry, Brain. Go ahead. OJ, not absolutely, positively, 100 million% not guilty of murdering two people heinously, which he absolutely did.
Yes.
Got to check on our poll questions to see how those are going. I can't believe. Well, I'm still crushing you with the chipmunk thing, but it's not 90%. It's 72% that have no idea Dave's last name. Go vote on this and prove me right here, as everyone already is. Hour 3 coming up next.
AFR.
Brought to you by Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com. 18 locations in South Louisiana. Find the location nearest you at ShawBillsTire.com. If you need bumper-to-bumper auto service, for example, you get in the car and you look at your dash when you start and that light's on, and you don't know what that light is for, but it comes on every time you start your car. Don't do like my wife Erica does and just ignore it. And then when I drive her car for the first time in 3 months, there's a light on. She goes, yeah, that's been on for so long. It's so annoying. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Take your car to Shaw Bills. You can schedule an appointment. Go to ShawBillsTire.com. Schedule a time you want to drop it off. They even have drop-off and pickup services if you need that, especially in a COVID world right now. It's ShawBillsTire.com. Bumper-to-bumper auto service or name brand tires and name brand tires at wholesale prices at Shaw Bills. What they've been doing for more than 50 years. Find the location nearest you, ShawBillsTire.com. Shaw Bills, we keep you rolling.
Reviews are a smart judge of character. If you see this, it's time to move on. But this, now that's a keeper. Richards Honda is proud of our 97% customer satisfaction rating. Every day, we're stepping up our game to make you feel safe, from masks to social distancing to new ways to shop. Richards Honda is committed to fanatical customer care. Because when people call you the smart choice, you'd better live up to it. Visit us today, I-12 at Millerville Road and richardshonda.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Master Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Master Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
0% for 72 months.
Callahan Injury Lawyers.
Hour 3 of After Further Review heading your way in 52 seconds right now. Got to tell you, the NFL confirmed today that if fans are allowed at NFL games this season, they will have to wear masks. They have not announced a league-wide policy on allowing fans at games. They are leaving that up to local mandates. The Toronto Blue Jays are still homeless for this season after the state of Pennsylvania said, no, we're all right. We're good. They denied a request to play the majority of their 2020 home games at PNC Park in Pittsburgh, which means it's back to the drawing board for Toronto. One of the possibilities is just playing all away games and counting them as home games if they were supposed to be home games. And by the way, the clock is ticking got 9 games on the slate for Major League Baseball tonight leading up to opening day tomorrow. Right now, the Marlins are up 4-2 on the Braves in the top of the 6th. Cardinals are up 5-2 on the Royals in the bottom of the 5th. And the Pirates are trailing the Indians 3-2 in the bottom of the 3rd. Hour 3 of AFR coming your way now.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After Further Review.
Say it one more time.
After Further Review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
Off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR presented by Pluckers and Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
And the Brain.
Hey, the Brain got a poop.
We're here. Glad you are as well. Make it a good one. Oh, by the way, it's a hump day.
What day is it, Mike?
It's a hump day, Mike.
It's hump day.
We're here.
Hump day.
And we're learning all kind of great stuff today.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
Ross Jackson in hour 1.
It's hump day.
We talked a lot of Saint stuff.
Hump day.
Eddie Nunez just a bit ago.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
Really candid interview with a Group of 5 athletic director.
It's hump day.
Who's also a friend of the show from his time here at LSU. Doesn't sound like he's too fond of the governor's letter she sent out there in New Mexico.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
See how it all transpires.
It's hump day.
Russ Mitchell in 13 minutes.
Hump day.
And he is confirmed, by the way. I literally just texted him.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
Just texted him in the break. A lot of people thought that after a couple of weeks ago when Russ and I yelled at each other, that last week when he no-showed that he was angry. He's not angry.
Wait, have things changed? Because as I recall, you and Russ are always yelling at each other.
True. But this was about the COVID stuff. He's very much on one side of the spectrum with the COVID conversation, and I am not. So, but that's okay. We're actually going to talk football because LSU's on the practice field tomorrow.
Hump day.
Not tomorrow. Hit a drop, Brain.
It's hump day.
Friday.
Hump day.
LSU will be on the practice field Friday.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
Okay, let's get into it. Not on the practice field with LSU on Friday, but soon to be at some point in the near future, is 5-star linebacker Rajon Davis out of the state of California. Now, he became super duper interesting this week because, of course, he plays high school football in the state of California. He is at Mater Dei, and he is the highest rated prospect currently committed to LSU. But this is very interesting because the state of California this week announced that they are going to play a season that will start in either December or January. So we are seeing some high-profile players in the state of California decide that they are not going to play high school football in December or January because they're early enrollees. So instead of playing high school football in their spring semester, they're going to be on college campuses in the spring semester, going through what we anticipate will be spring football this semester, next semester. So one big question, of course, involves Rajon Davis. He was a guest on Off the Bench this morning with Jordy and T-Bob, and they asked him that point blank.
Yes, sir. I plan on playing because our first game will be the first week of January, so that's when I'll play.
So Rajon Davis going to play high school football, which means he will not be an early enrollee at LSU. Hold your breath. Pray his ACLs stay intact in that high school season. I would not wish any ill on anybody, but I can also very much respect the fact that this young man wants to go play his senior season with his team, and I think most anybody would respect that. And I guess a big question is how much of a difference physically is there going through what could potentially be a college spring practice or a high school spring season. But first week of January, Rajon Davis will be playing with Mater Dei out there in California. Go check out that interview with Rajon Davis off the bench on their on-demand page at 1045ESPN.com or on their YouTube channel. And they also asked him, and this is interesting too, can you play 5, Brain, about where he's going to line up, because in this 3-4 defense, like, is he an inside backer, play an outside backer, play Sam or Will, or just play defensive end? Here's what he said.
Well, Coach Fellini actually explained to me, he said don't be worried about coming in and trying to start automatically. He said if you come in and work, you'll get your play time and you'll be able to shine. And so that's what I really loved. He didn't try and sugarcoat it or anything. He showed me straight, and then he talked to my parents and told them, that he'll take care of me. He just has to come in and work and be smart, make the right decisions. So that was very helpful. And then, he says that they say that I'll be able to play probably Sam linebacker, if not Will. So I'll be able to play off the edge still, make plays in space, the same things I do in high school.
Rajon Davis, number 1 player committed in LSU's 2021 class, as he will play his high school season. He also talked about to the guys what attracted him to LSU.
I would say it was really the family aspect of the whole thing. Being able to take 2 visits. So I've been able to be out there and get acclimated to the whole environment. That helped me a lot, and then my parents were able to see everything as well. So that just showed them that I would be able to thrive in that situation. And, Coach always explained that to us, and then he talked to my little brother as well. So he just really showed us that it would be a big family thing.
It is. It's definitely a benefit, right, that Davis has made 2 visits to LSU already, because think about the current context of recruiting. Ed Orgeron said, look, it's never been easier to get in touch with guys. You're on Zoom calls with players all the time. You have these power hours where they're talking to recruits all the time.
And that virtual Zoom, bro.
I saw you reach. I was like, yeah, I get it. But for the prospects that haven't had a chance to get on campus, and if there's no opportunity to do so in the fall, and you got a December signing period, a lot of guys are going to have to commit or sign sight unseen, or go with someplace that they've been. So for Rajon Davis, having been to LSU twice, that's a big benefit. So you want to check out the full interview with LSU's highest rated commit for the class of 2021, 1045ESPN.com, on demand, off the bench. The guys chatted with him this morning. One other thing I want to get to real quick here, and then Russ Mitchell in the next segment. I want to get Russ's thoughts in particular. I want, specifically with LSU, I'm going to ask him a comp for Myles Brennan. A situation like Myles, where you're the guy replacing the guy, a situation where it worked and where it didn't. And I also want to ask him about Tyler Shelvin, because there's a ton of hype about Shelvin right now. He's in everybody's mock draft, first round, all that stuff, and I'm curious if Russ is buying the hype. So we'll get into that in a bit. But I also have this that I wanted to share with you because I have two very conflicting polls about the upcoming season. Today, a Harris poll was released where the majority of Americans do not expect to see college or football games in the fall. According to this Harris poll, 32% think the NFL will have a season. Just 24% think college football will be played. Meanwhile, and this is the big underscore line exclamation point, less than half of Americans in this poll, remember this now, less than half say they miss watching sports on TV. Okay, it's a Harris poll. Less than half of Americans in this Harris poll say they miss watching sports on TV. Now, ESPN did its own scientific study, but they polled sports fans. 78% say they are in favor of sports resuming despite restrictions on attendance. And you might say, well, those are fans. That's a double-digit increase from April. I talked about this several months ago when we saw that Seton Hall survey that came out. If you're asking Marvin the potato farmer from Idaho, who doesn't know the difference between the Redskins and the Red Sox, surely Marvin's not going to give a damn if football returns. He doesn't care. He doesn't miss sports on TV. If Glenn, the sand artist in Encino, has never seen a football game, he's not going to care if it comes back. But if you ask sports fans if they want it, the demand is driving up exponentially right now. You can make numbers say whatever you want them to say. But this is such a stark contrast, which is why we've done our town halls, because my desire is not to find out what Edna, the quilt maker in Texarkana, cares about. What do you care about? The person who's so passionate about sports that you're listening to a sports talk radio show. Do you want it back? Do you want fans in the stands? Will you watch? What do you think? And overwhelmingly, 78% say you're eager to have sports back, even if there are no fans. So take the Harris poll, crumple it up, because nobody cares what Morty the mortician in Michigan thinks if he doesn't know the difference between a stolen base and a cricket bowler. Let's talk to Russ Mitchell next. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. 752-0001, 752-0001 for River City's 1 Hour Air. My friend Paul over at River City's 1 Hour Air shared this testimonial with me earlier today that they got from a customer. Said, always impressed with the guys that work at River City's 1 Hour Air. Today was no exception. They were great, did an awesome job, faster than I expected. I love this company. Will always continue to use them for my AC and heating needs. Thanks to Britton and Olin for such wonderful work. If you had Britton or Olin come into your house, before they showed up, you'd get a phone call and a text message. In that text message, you'd have that technician's name and photo and reviews of that technician, not of the company, of that technician, so you know exactly who's coming to your house. It's all about making you feel comfortable and doing a fantastic job for you. That's River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001, 752-0001.
0% for 72 months on all new 2020 F-150s. Visit Bayou Ford for a new 2020 Ford F-150 with 0% for 72 months. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers, offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens, if not thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Toyota, we don't just sell cars, we buy them too. Bring your car in so we can see it, and within minutes, you can turn your car into cash or trade it in towards your next vehicle. It's a fast and easy process. We buy your car.
After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Presented by Plucker's Wing Bar. Open till midnight or later every night of the week, where every Monday is all-you-can-eat wings. Plucker's Wing Bar. If you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird. Russ Mitchell.
Kicking the tires and lighting the fires. Russ! Literally.
Well, I'm proud of Russ. I think Russ deserves it.
If they give you a nickname, you're good.
Rusty, come on up here. I'm getting tired of saying Tigers. There's too many Tigers in the league already.
I want you to stay here and take care of things, Russ.
You know, I mean, they're going to run this kid around like a rented step-headed mule.
You know, I haven't had much of a chance to talk to you man to man, Russ.
I'm a guy who spends all day breaking down Kentucky football.
Not going in our yard, Russ. It's going in our living room.
But I'm calling you out, man. We'll cut this clip and send it out there to Spurrier and the fellas.
It's like Troy.
Take it, Russ.
All right, let's do it. He is Russ Mitchell, college football news, SEC writer, and he's with us now. How are you, Russ?
Oh, kicking the tires, lighting the fires, baby.
I'm glad to hear it. I have a one order of business before we talk football. Yes. Thank you for Drew's gift. Russ got Drew a birthday present to Big Drew. You got him an elephant, however. And I did. I'm curious why in an LSU household you would send my child an elephant. Are you a closet bammer?
Can you tell them what color the elephant is?
That's irrelevant.
It's a purple elephant. And I told you to tell Big Drew that Mike went off to Tuscaloosa and convinced Big Al to turn purple and come back to Baton Rouge.
I love it. It's so good. He does, but you told me to tell him to call the elephant Betty. So
Yes.
He did. So thank you. And I understand that you were going to get him a much larger elephant initially.
Well, originally I wanted to get an 80-inch octopus with like 8 arms. like it reached down 8 feet in a circular. It's this massive stuffed animal.
Like a
and my
6-foot octopus.
And my wife was like, Russell, be reasonable.
Is she the only person that calls you Russell?
Well, when I'm in trouble.
Yeah, I got it.
Russell, be reasonable.
Well, thank you. We appreciate it greatly.
It was going to be purple. It was going to be a purple 80-inch octopus.
A purple 80-inch octopus would be better than a crimson 80-inch octopus for sure.
They don't make crimson 80-inch octopi.
Octopi, yes. I'm glad to hear that. Hey, I asked you this question earlier because at the beginning of the show today, we discussed an interview that Myles Brennan did. And for those that didn't hear it, Brennan did about a 40-minute podcast with Cody Worsham, who's an LSU digital media manager. And it's just interesting, Russ, because we've literally never heard an interview this in-depth with Myles Brennan. You don't do 40-minute interviews with the backup quarterback. But now he's not the backup quarterback. And so I found it fascinating. Right? But how do you have a comp for Myles Brennan from a quarterback that sat behind the guy, became the guy, where it worked and where it didn't?
I guess I have one where it worked. And, again, it's kind of hard to comp a guy who really hasn't played that much, certainly hasn't started a lot. But, Ryan Tannehill at TAMU, same kind of size, right? Skinny. He was at least 6'4", but probably even skinnier than Myles. He was about 210. A big arm, had a good release, very accurate, all the things you hear coming out of practice from Myles, but not a lot of experience. I mean, he was drafted in the first round of the 2012 draft, if memory serves. That wasn't a great year. That was RG3 and Brandon Whedon going in the first round. But he'd only started like maybe 19 games, and he was drafted 8th overall by the Dolphins. He'd probably be the biggest. If you look at the Slim Reaper, right? Is that what we're calling him?
You know what's funny though is that apparently he's like they're dropping that because he's not the Slim Reaper anymore. He's like up to 220 and kind of bulky.
Keep it.
Okay.
Let everybody keep calling you that, and then show up stacked. You're like, dude, man, this kid's not that slim no more, Big arm. He's got a huge arm. He probably has a bigger arm than Burrow.
He does. I don't even think that's actually not debatable. In that podcast, he told a story with Jack Marucci, who would bring a radar gun out to basically check his velocity. It was fascinating because he told the story basically how they had to talk to him about saying, hey, look, you don't need to hammer a ball into a running back's chest on an 8-yard route. Use a little more touch. So he said that's basically what he's worked on predominantly this offseason.
Look, I'm not worried about you and I have been talking about this basically since the 14th of January. No, we weren't, because I was so hungover on the 14th of January. I was still drunk on the 14th of January. But the Tigers could have gone after Derek King. He could have played right away. They could have gone after Jamie Newman. They could have gone after Costello. He'll play in the NFL. The Mississippi State quarterback transferred from Stanford. Could have gone after JT Daniels.
They did.
Didn't go after any of those guys.
Yeah, they did. They did.
Well, you know what I mean.
They didn't get any of them.
Look, there's going after and there's going after, brother. I think they're pretty comfortable. And, there's a lot of things and I don't want to compare. How many times are we going to say this? I don't want to compare Myles to Joe or anything like that, because we may never ever see anything like that ever again in college football. But he has a lot of the same things, right? He's graduated, so he'll be on that sort of, go spend the whole day at the football headquarters and take a couple online classes. And he has something that Burrow didn't have, which is an entire career pretty much with Ensminger.
Yeah, he did call Steve Ensminger sort of his foundation. And look, he's gone through a bunch, though, if you just think about Matt Canada's offense and then the 2018 offense, which was more pro style, and then last year, which was not, they've changed a bunch, but the constant has been Ensminger.
Good. Let him see lots of different stuff, I think we'll probably do something similar to, I did it again, didn't I?
We got to hit a bell. Brain, you don't know this yet. Hit the bell. Just hit it. Whenever Russ, Brain. Russ, by the way, Brain's back. Moose is in the morning.
Yes.
Now.
Yes.
When
Hi, Brain.
When
What's going on?
When Russell refers to LSU as we hit the bell.
Like 30 years, and the seal was cracked, like in November of last year, and now I can't stop. It's not Myles that I'm worried about.
Okay.
I'm worried about the offensive line, being able to play at the level. Obviously, that's, I think it's too much to expect that they'll be anywhere close to what they were last year. I've heard some people ask, is he angry like Burrow? Is he that kind of fighter? I don't know, man. I don't think Mock or Flynn were like Burrow in that regard, and you won 2 national championships with those cats.
True.
So I don't think you need to be, it takes a lot of quarterbacks to make a village or whatever, something like that. So, I'm not worried. I'm not worried. He can be his own style of quarterback. And we just talked about talent, big arm. He's been in the program for a lot of years. 226.4 is perfect. Been along the coaching staff. He's just graduated, so his schedule is like a pro schedule. The sky's the limit for this kid. I see him. And plus, low expectations, right? What are the expectations in Baton Rouge just for him? What are the expectations right now?
Man,
good.
I wouldn't call them low. I think, is it fair?
Reasonable?
Is it fair to say, well, let me ask you then.
How can you have high expectations for a kid who's never played?
Here's sort of the conundrum, right? And I'm with you on that. But he's got 2 receivers that are likely going in round 1. Another receiver that the head of the Senior Bowl is gushing over. He's got the highest rated tight end in the history of the 24/7 Sports rankings. He's got 3 running backs that were all top 10 in the country. Like, he's got 5 offensive linemen that have starting experience. But my point is, Russ, I'm not saying 5,000 yards, 60 touchdowns. No one's going to do that. But is 3,000 yards and 30 touchdowns unreasonable?
Depends on the offense. Again, you left off Brady being gone, which is still an issue. And we'll see. Let's put it this way. I would say that expectations are reasonable.
Okay. Russ Mitchell's with us at Russ Mitchell CFB. I want to switch from offense to a defensive player to ask you about, and that's Tyler Shelvin, because he's getting a ton of hype. He's in everybody's mock draft. He's on the Outland watch list. He's on the Nagurski watch list. I don't mean to be dismissive of Tyler Shelvin. I just want to ask you just a very candid question. Are you buying the hype for Shelvin?
For next year or for the league?
For this upcoming college football season?
No.
Okay, why?
I think he'll be good, but he's a 3-4, I think he'll be great when he gets to the NFL. This guy's what is he, like 350 pounds, right?
I think he's probably more than that, Russ. So Ed Orgeron did an interview earlier this week. He did an interview earlier this week, and he kind of joked and said, we need a Mack truck to get Tyler out to the field if he doesn't drop some pounds. So he's struggled with it. Look, this was his big issue year one. Shelvin showed up on campus, and the reports are he was north of 380. And he
redshirted, right?
He did. He had to get his well, I think it was an academic deal, but he had to get his weight in order, get everything in order in that 2017 season. And then, in 2018 is when he started to come on late. And then last year he became a really impact guy. But weight, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I love
You're
this
right.
kid.
Weight's been a thing that he's had to keep in order.
I love this kid. And good smile too. I always love that. I love when you get the big guy with a nice smile like Shaq. You can't. First of all, you remember Glenn Dorsey, right? I think what I would advise LSU fans to remember is when Glenn was just everything awesome.
Yeah.
Up there with Sue in how he dominated, not the same kind of player, but how he dominated, that defensive line. And then he got drafted, was it 3rd overall by Kansas City?
He was a little lower. I think he was maybe
7th?
because the Saints.
Oh, it was Jackson that got drafted 3rd the year before.
Yeah, Tyson Jackson went a year later, 3rd overall to KC. But Glenn Dorsey, I want to say, was maybe 7th or 8th because the Saints moved up and took he went 5th. He went 5th overall. That's right. So Dorsey went 5th. The Saints moved up in that same draft and took the kid out of USC. But it was like, why if you're going to trade up, why wouldn't you trade up to get Dorsey? But yes, so Glenn went 5th.
Remember, they dropped Glenn into a 3-4, and he struggled. But he was skinny. I mean, he was like 295 or something like that.
Come on, man. No one's calling Glenn Dorsey skinny, bro. Come on.
Dude, let me tell you, there's a huge difference. So I'm not a slender man anymore, and this coronavirus is not helping my waistline. And I'm here to tell you, there's a huge difference between 350 and 300. I mean, people don't think there is, but I mean, there's as big of a difference between. Usually, I roll 250. There's a massive difference between 290 and 250.
How much you weigh right now?
So more than 250. but there's a massive difference, and you can't just drop some cat at 360 into a 4.3 and think that that's going to work out swimmingly. I don't think so. So, Tyler still might get drafted in the first round of the NFL draft, but if he's playing in a 4.3 this year, I think that, again, we should set some, and I mean we as collectively, all of college football. I did that time, actually. No. I meant we collectively should set some, should set some reasonable expectations.
All right, he's Russ Mitchell of College Football News. Do you have time to do another segment? Because there's 2 more things I want to ask, or do you have to go?
Sure.
All right, Russ Mitchell is with us. He'll hang around. Stick around with us also. It is after further review.
AFR.
104.5 ESPN invites you to take a short quiz for a chance to win a brand new EU1000 generator from our friends at Bozeman Distributors. Simply go to 1045ESPN.com now through August 16th and take the quiz to see how prepared you are for hurricane season. Everyone who takes the quiz is automatically entered to win the generator. Our winner will be chosen on Monday, August 17th. Get prepared for hurricane season from 1045 ESPN and stay prepared with Bozeman Distributors.
I'm Jay Cody. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jdacody.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
Corval Toyota, we don't just sell cars, we buy them too. Bring your car in so we can see it, and within minutes, you can turn your car into cash or trade it in towards your next vehicle. It's a fast and easy process. We buy your car at Corval Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
Divorce is hard. Divorce is messy. Divorce is exhausting. The law offices of O.C. Brown walked me through my divorce and helped me find the right solution for me, my kids, my finances, and my property.
Call the law offices of O.C. Brown, your law firm for a lifetime.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Call Mr. Electric today for electrical repairs, upgrades, and installations.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens, make not thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Citizens Bank is proud to bring you the Fan of the Week. But during these times with no fans, Citizens Bank is switching its support to the Banking on BR campaign to raise money for the Baton Rouge Food Bank. You can help out by visiting brfoodbank.org or bankingonbr.com.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive.
After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Presented by Plucker's Wing Bar. Open till midnight or later every night of the week, where every Monday is all-you-can-eat wings. Plucker's Wing Bar. If you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
All right, continue with Russ Mitchell. Chat's presented by South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com. South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction? Russell, if there have been many proposals about the upcoming college football season. Had a really good chat last hour, by the way, with Eddie Nunez, who's former LSU associate AD, who's now with the AD at New Mexico. It's fascinating what the Group of Five is contemplating right now. But if the SEC one of the proposals has been conference +1, and the idea would be to keep intact the traditional like Florida State, Georgia Tech, Clemson, South Carolina, Kentucky, Louisville, and then games like Arkansas, Notre Dame, LSU, Texas. What +1 games would you be most happy to see them keep this year? Like, what games are you most interested to see?
Well, I mean, Texas LSU is, I think maybe the best game period in the whole country. I think. I mean,
So, are you buying Texas this year?
Yeah, I think they fell apart a little down the stretch last year, but they returned a lot of talent. And, I'm pretty high on them. I'm also a little high on A&M, so it's a shame those two teams don't play at the end of the year. But, right off the bat, right off the bat, I like that one. Tennessee is supposed to go to. Doesn't Tennessee go to Oklahoma?
Tennessee this year plays. Yes,
at Oklahoma.
Yes, they play Oklahoma.
It's the same weekend.
Yep.
That's right. It's the same weekend that y'all play.
That we.
Texas.
We.
Y'all. No, I did not. I said y'all. Come on. Help a brother out here, man.
Okay.
I don't care about North Carolina, Auburn. You can scrap that. I never cared about USC, Alabama. That was going to be that was going to be a bloodletting.
Yeah, you're right.
But Virginia, Georgia. I mean, who cares? I'm actually a little excited about Baylor, Ole Miss.
Dave Aranda,
I thought Baylor should have gotten the death penalty, but and I don't think Art Briles should ever coach another game ever in involving anything other than professional football players. But Baylor had a great season last year. Obviously, they have a new head coach, but it'll be interesting to see that. I think Ole Miss is a good matchup for them. The game's in Houston. That's going to be fun. That's September the 5th. Oh, look at me. That's going to be fun. I sound like a wounded animal, man. It's so pathetic. I sound so pathetic.
That did sound like a wounded animal.
Oh, it's just like I'm reading I got my Phil Steele.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I always get 3.
One
for the home, one for the office, and one for the car.
Okay.
Because you never know when you never know when you're going to need your Phil Steele. So I keep one in the car. I just don't mark it up.
Okay.
Usually. Sometimes I mark it up. What's funny is sometimes I mark them up differently. And then I get into my Steele and I'm looking through it. I'm like, wait a minute. That's different than what I said the last. And Ole Miss, of course, with the Lane train. I'm very excited in that one.
I was surprised to hear you say.
That's about it.
I was surprised to hear you say that you're buying A&M.
Just the schedule, baby. We've talked about this as much about schedule as anything. I thought the year that LSU played 4 top 10 teams on the road, that was 2006, right?
Oh gosh,
wasn't that Russell's last year?
Yeah.
And y'all went down to New Orleans and whooped on Notre Dame. Oh, that was a nice night.
That was fun.
That was a nice night.
I was there with my brother, who's a Notre Dame alum. That was fun.
Oh, that must have been even more fun.
It was euphoric.
Arkansas plays at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
If you're the same weekend that y'all play Texas, that's going to be another bloodletting. But if you're an Arkansas fan, you need to make the trip up there for that.
I'm surprised.
That's it, man.
I'm surprised. So all right, one more thing on Arkansas on A&M though. So you said schedule, and I agree with you. So the people who are neglecting don't realize Clemson rotates off, Colorado rotates on. Although now Colorado, a Pac-12 team, is no longer on their schedule, so I guess they have to fill that date. And then Georgia rotates off, and Vanderbilt rotates on. So that right there, you go from 7-5 to 9-3, and then if you can get any of LSU, Bama, Auburn, then A&M's a 10-win team. But that's a big if. So, but I guess my question to you is: are you buying A&M as a 9-3 team or better?
Oh, definitely 9-3. I'd say 10. I think they take Auburn. LSU doesn't lose to A&M unless A&M cheats. So that's just how I feel about that. So yeah, I don't think that even with they've got a lot of talent returning, but it's the end of the year. I think LSU will be have a full season under its belt, and they're a better team with more talent. So, and I don't see them beating Alabama. So I have 10 wins for A&M.
Okay. If all of this, everything that's happening right now, causes major financial crises and gigantic meltdowns, you've talked about.
It already has.
Well, it has. But I mean, as we move forward over the next, say, half decade or beyond, and it forces leagues to
change,
to restructure, to contract. Who do you want out? Who do you want in?
Are you talking like a relegation?
Yes.
Like the English. That was today. As a matter of fact.
There was a very nice piece at ESPN today about relegation. Yes.
I love relegation for some sports. I absolutely never want to see. By the way, I do have some teams that I want gone, so I'll tell you about that.
Give them to me.
But we'll never see it because so much of our sport is based on tradition and ritual and all those things that make it so special. So, and you can't have relegation with that. So,
come on, man. We've had realignment here, and we haven't lost our love of college football. Colorado
we haven't
in the
kicked
Pac-12.
Anybody out.
Come on,
we haven't
man.
Kicked,
Nebraska
we haven't kicked
in the Big Ten.
First of all, I'm not. All I'm talking about is the SEC.
Oh, okay. Tulane was in the SEC.
Well, it's funny you say that. So it's not to me so much of getting rid of. I mean, obviously, I think I love Vandy. They're wonderful. But, they could go away, and I think that would be okay.
All right.
And I would miss them. But it's sort of like a loud, obnoxious neighbor that your kids get along with their kids and then they move. I would miss them because I would feel sad for my kids. But that's it. I would like what I would really like to see. So if we lose Vandy, then we're down to 13. So if I was going to add 3 to get to 16, because I really think we need 4 pods of 4, I would add Memphis. Now, by the way, most of these schools would need to improve their facilities.
Yeah.
But I would add Memphis because what do we need? We desperately need another Tigers in the conference. But I would allow Memphis, but they have to change their mascot.
Okay.
But I like them. I think they would fit in well. Despite they would be the first school named after a city, right? Do we have any schools named after a
Auburn.
city? Oh, that's right. Terrible. Sorry. Thank you. Then I would like to add a Texas school. So can we steal?
Sure.
From another conference?
You can do whatever you want.
Thank you. I would steal Texas Christian.
Oh, why?
They spend a fortune. They spend like the second most amount of money. They spend a fortune. And if you put them in the SEC, I know that's not great for LSU, but, I would love to see another Texas school. So you get 2 Texas, 2 Tennessee, and then, I've said this before on your show, but I'd really like to add someone from North Carolina, like a North Carolina State, expand the TV market, bring in a lot of money. I think North Carolina State would be. I mean, if we could, I would take Florida State. Obviously, the Florida guys would go absolutely crazy.
A&M would go bat bleep crazy if they.
Yeah, they would.
And Tennessee would go.
Well, first of all, I don't care about Tennessee, and I don't care about A&M.
That's fine.
So
it's your
Florida.
exercise.
Florida would be, and Georgia also wouldn't be particularly happy, but. Yeah, that would be great. Drop Vandy. We would all miss Vandy.
No, we would.
Memphis, Texas Christian, and
NC State.
Florida State.
Or Florida State.
NC State for the money. Florida State for the South.
He's Russ Mitchell, College Football News on Twitter @RussMitchellCFB. Good enough to be with us here on this Wednesday. It's my pleasure. Pour yourself a Sierra Nevada, and we'll talk soon.
Actually, I'm going to go pour myself another Sierra Nevada.
Get out of here. We'll see you next
I'll
week.
talk to you later.
That's
Bye,
Russ
brother.
Mitchell of College Football News. It's After Further Review, brought to you by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Blue Bonnet in Baton Rouge, Ambassador Caffrey in Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. Remember, you've got 9 days left. Theantiagingclinics.com. 9 days left in July. Buy 2, get 1 free on laser hair removal. Ladies, you want to be done shaving your legs forever? Laser hair removal. Buy 2 treatments, get the 3rd free right now, all this month, for 9 days left at the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Online, theantiagingclinics.com. It's After Further Review. We'll wrap up with Otter Locks and what we learned next.
AFR.
Brought to you by Clegg's Nursery. Buy local, shop local at Clegg's Nursery. Love telling you about our friends over at Clegg's every single day, especially right now, because it is the perfect time to get out in your yard. So many people aren't doing many social activities. A lot of things aren't open. So what you can do is get out of your house and get into your yard, get into your garden, plant those flowers, plant those trees, plant that garden, whatever you might want to do to beautify the exterior of your home, add a pop of color, spruce up the outside living area, add some curb appeal. Clegg's Nursery is there for you, and they're partnered with True Value Hardware Store. So if you got that honey-do list or you're trying to check it off, Clegg saves you a trip, because what you'd get at a hardware store, you'd also get at Clegg's Nursery, and you're supporting a local company that's been in our community for 60 years. So bypass the big box store and go see the experts and all of our friends over at Clegg's Nursery. 4 locations. Buy local, shop local. Tell them Matt sent you into Clegg's.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
0% for 72 months on all new 2020 F-150s. Visit Bayou Ford for a new 2020 Ford F-150 with 0% for 72 months. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111.
Your law firm for a lifetime.
Service Master Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Master Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Master Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Here you go. All right. Top speed.
After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Presented by Plucker's Wing Bar. Open till midnight or later every night of the week, where every Monday is all-you-can-eat wings. Plucker's Wing Bar. If you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
All right, we went long with Russ. Means we have 60 seconds for Otterlocks. Hit me, Brain.
Otterlocks.
And we welcome back the man. The myth.
Like it a week. What's up, Matthew?
Lithuania.
Liverpool wins 5-3 today. Yes, indeed. So,
all right.
Speaking of soccer.
Where are you tonight?
Louis Cafe since 1941, baby. Breakfast and lunch 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Chocolate chip pancakes or an omelet.
Yes.
You cannot miss.
Yes. Mitchell omelet. Yeah, the dinosaur-shaped pancakes like Frenchie does. Speaking of soccer totals, the NWSL, Matthew, going into today's semifinals, 17 straight unders. The final early today, 1-0. Now 18 in a row. Get on the under in the Chicago versus Sky Blue National Women's Soccer League match tonight. 18 straight unders.
Wait, tell me that 18 straight unders? Wait, give me that again? Oh, I'm writing down.
The NWSL, the semis. They play one today, one at 9 o'clock tonight.
I'm taking
17 straight unders. The game today went 1-0. That's 18 now. The other semifinal tonight is 9 p.m. How about that? Sam Burns, 45-1 this weekend at the 3M Open up in Minnesota. Was in the top 5 a couple of weekends ago. His wrist is better. This is a lighter field with DJ and Koepka struggling. He's got a shot, man, at 45-1 this weekend.
Right. Game time with Jimmy Ott is
game time.
It's 4 minutes away in Baton Rouge. Thank you, Otter. We'll be listening.
Love you.
Brain, what did you learn?
If you ask Ott if he can keep it to 60, he cannot keep it to 60.
Paul, what did you learn?
The Falcons will not change their seating capacity this season.
Matt, what'd you learn?
Greg Sankey's run 41 marathons. You can spell pleated 2 different ways. And Dave from the Chipmunks has a last name. Who knew?
AFR.
As we get on down the road, we remind you about the Williamson Eye Center. We apologize for the abrupt end of the show there. We went long with Russ, and so we got pinched at the end. WilliamsonEYE.com. It is Global Vision Correction Month. That's a very big roundabout way of saying this is the month when eye doctors have LASIK performed on themselves. They want to prove the results. They believe in the results, so they have it done to themselves. In July, 1 year ago, Dr. Blake Williamson had his own LASIK done by his dad, Dr. Charles Williamson. 2 years ago in September is when I had my LASIK done by Dr. Blake Williamson out at the Williamson Eye Center. Y'all, whatever it might be in your life, if it's for athletic competition, if it's just for better quality of life, if you want to see better, go for that free consultation at the Williamson Eye Center. 924-2020. 924-2020. 924-2020.
Hi, this is Chance Inman, President and Chief Operating Officer for Janney King Gulf Coast. Here are some ways to protect yourself and those around you from the coronavirus. Wash your hands often and thoroughly. Cover coughs and sneezes with your elbow. Disinfect high-touch surfaces regularly. Use non-contact methods for greeting others. And avoid touching your face. Following these steps, as well as social distancing, should help all of us stay healthy.
Here at the Big Squeezy, we continue to serve the Baton Rouge and Southeast Louisiana areas during these troubling times. We are dedicated to providing you healthy food items to help you live your best life. From our cold-pressed juices to our delicious smoothies, let the Big Squeezy keep you going. Stay active, stay happy, and let us help you stay healthy. Visit us at our locations and also inside of Alexander's and Mathern's grocery stores or online at thebigsqueezy.com.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare. At Louisiana